I date for money now. Your man, he spends money. He spends money.
In today's video, we're diving into social engineering and how celebrities selling their bodies impacts regular people. I'll be discussing many celebrities you may personally admire, so if you have a parasocial relationship with any celebrities, this video may not be for you. As you could see, that's a very unfortunate looking video of Summer Walker admitting she's now selling box, just like many other women in the public eye. This isn't random. It's part of the program, the intentional social engineering and slow degradation of society. Now we're going to circle back to Summer Walker. Let's talk about Hugh Hefner for a moment. From a sociocultural perspective, he stands as one of the most consequential figures in the reshaping of modern American attitudes toward sexuality. Whether people choose to acknowledge it or not, he played a central role in redefining national moral standards. In many ways, he helped normalize and even glamorize sexual permissiveness, turning it into a celebrated cultural identity.
Tonight, the Playboy philosophy.
At a time when sexuality and speaking about it publicly was taboo.
We are going through a period of moral transition related to sex, and we will not be going back to the old concepts.
Hugh Hefner spent his life bringing sex into the American mainstream.
Tonight, the Playboy philosophy.
At a time when sexuality and speaking about it was taboo.
We are going through a period of moral transition related to sex, and we will not be going back to the old concepts.
I played it twice so you could really catch it. Did you hear what he said there? That doesn't sound like someone guessing about the future. That wasn't a prediction of culture. He was announcing the programming of culture. His confidence made it clear he had inside knowledge of what was coming. Before Playboy, women were expected to be modest, virginity was valued, sexual content was taboo. After Playboy, hookup culture surged, pornography consumption exploded, societal morality shifted almost overnight. That wasn't organic. That was social engineering.
You know, without Marilyn, I wouldn't be here.
Marilyn Monroe created the empire of Playboy without her consent in 1953, and here is how. In 1949, Marilyn Monroe was very poor and lived on her own. She didn't have enough money to feed herself, but she posed nude for the first time on a calendar. At first, she was offered to pose fully nude, but she rejected it. But later on, she took the offer because she needed to fix her car for transportation and was over a month behind rent. She said this.
I did have to pay the rent where I lived at the Hollywood Studio Club. I was 4 weeks behind. You know, when he first said, pose nude and other photographers, I said, "Hi! Me? Are you kidding? Never."
When Hugh Hefner heard about this, he paid $500 to own the rights to the pictures and put her on his first ever magazine without her consent. Marilyn said she never received a thank you and wasn't paid a penny for it. Not to mention, Hugh Hefner would continue to exploit Monroe even after her death with more magazines, and was placed to spend the rest of eternity next to her, while a man above Marilyn is placed face down, looking down on Marilyn, as Marilyn is placed on her back, facing upon the man above her. And for all those out there happily wearing the brand, remember that it exists due to a woman being exploited and having her body used against her without her consent.
Sex symbol becomes a thing. Well, you just hate to be a thing.
Marilyn Monroe is widely believed to have been the first presidential-level MK Ultra model, operating within the highest echelon of government and intelligence-linked circles. In my video, The Sacrifice of Marilyn Monroe, I break down how she wasn't just a Hollywood star. She was positioned to serve upper-level representatives, including the president himself. Within the structure of MK Ultra-based sexual programming, there are said to be 3 distinct tiers of sex slave classification. Ruby level, common, also referenced as a coded term for prostitution. Emerald level, often associated with the entertainment industry and celebrity influence, and used as a discrete code for drug-related activities. Diamond level, the rarest tier, reserved for presidential or international political access. Monroe is considered the first diamond-level presidential MK Ultra model, crafted, groomed, and deployed at the highest levels of power. Please check out my video for more info. It'll be linked in the description box. Hugh Hefner was raised in Chicago and enlisted in the military at 18. After completing 2 years of service, he returned home and pursued a degree in psychology. He also studied creative arts and later attempted to obtain a degree in sociology. Those academic choices are revealing. They reflect a man deeply interested in human behavior and social manipulation. From the moment I began researching him, it became clear his interests aligned closely with the realm of social engineering. In my opinion, it is difficult to imagine he had no ties to intelligence agencies. Many researchers believe that certain government connections may have helped facilitate the creation of Playboy. Playboy launched in 1953, the exact year that MK Ultra was officially established. MK Ultra itself evolved from earlier projects such as Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke, programs that integrated former Nazi scientists into American psychological experimentation. In 1953, while Hefner was completing his psychology degree and exploring sociology, he simultaneously launched a magazine that would become the cultural vehicle for sexual revolution, precisely as government-funded mind control initiatives were being formalized. Many of Playboy bunnies fit the psychological and behavioral profiles of MK Ultra sex kittens. When I reference MK Ultra, I'm speaking of government-sponsored trauma-based mind control operations involving electroshock treatments, hallucinogenic substances, pedophilic abuse, and deep hypnotic conditioning. It has long been claimed allegedly that Hugh Hefner was both a CIA-adjacent MK Ultra handler and a purveyor of flesh. His name has been linked to networks involving sex trafficking, and in some allegations even child exploitation. The Playboy bunny was not selected at random. The rabbit has been a symbol of female fertility for thousands of years. This is the same reason the rabbit is associated with Easter, a holiday that, historically, has nothing to do with the resurrection of Christ. Easter traces back to the worship of the mother goddess known as Ishtar, or Astara among the Celts. Ishtar, symbolized by the rabbit, represented fertility, sexuality, and ritualistic reproduction. She was also referred to as the Great Harlot. Hefner himself wasn't merely a media figure. He functioned like a programmer, allegedly. Reports surrounding early electroshock treatments and psychological conditioning show a disturbing pattern. When you're making millions off exploiting the human body, it naturally interlocks with ritualistic subcultures, orgies, occult rites, and the pursuit of power through altered states. Some practitioners believe these rituals allow them to channel spiritual energies. Many figures within Hollywood and elite circles still adhere to ancient pagan systems of worship. These systems venerate the same entities the Bible describes as pagan deities, specifically Nimrod and his father Cush. In the Babylonian and Egyptian mystery traditions, these entities were known under numerous names, including Bacchus. Bacchus was the god of revelry, intoxication, sexual excess, performance, and theater. He was androgynous, a precursor to the modern Baphomet iconography that dominates the entertainment industry. Bacchus is emblematic of the spirit of excess and seduction that permeates Hollywood. The Playboy Mansion operated as a modern grove, a secluded environment where ritualistic, occult, and hedonistic practices could occur away from public scrutiny. Groves have historically been the sites of rituals originating with Nimrod and Cush. Mansion parties were modeled after Dionysian mystery rites rather than ordinary social events. During alleged ritual, women were assigned symbolic roles that corresponded to figures within Dionysian mythology, rituals historically associated with ecstasy, altered states, and ceremonial frenzy. The claims further suggest the use of blood meant to imitate ancient rites, including ritualized cannibalism, reflecting the myth in which Dionysus, Bacchus, is torn apart and reborn. To emphasize, these are not my assertions, but a summary of what the source claims. In classical studies, references to cannibalism and Dionysian rites are typically interpreted referring to priestly reenactments of the Sparagmos myth. The suggestion here is that certain modern esoteric circles attempted to replicate these ancient themes as part of their private ceremonies. The narrative also maintains that individuals chosen to embody Dionysian roles were viewed as vessels, symbolically representing the god himself. Within that framework, the death or destruction of the vessel was believed to complete the cycle of death and rebirth central to Dionysian mythology. Cannibalistic symbolism has roots in ancient rites associated with deities like Bacchus, along with the belief that consuming another's essence can grant strength. Hollywood, for many of these elites, becomes a modern reenactment of those ancient practices. Please pay attention. I'm going to bring up cannibalism again later in the video. Hugh Hefner saw himself as the inheritor of this god of theater, Bacchus, also known as Dionysus or Pan. Pan is another name for Cush, the father of Nimrod, the father of boy-man love. The god Pan, later merged with Baphomet imagery, is the god of sexual wildness, man-boy love, music used for hypnosis, pan pipes, and chaos and lust. Pan is an ancient deity associated with luring young boys into the woods and engaging in deeply inappropriate predatory acts. This darker aspect of Pan's mythology is the foundation for the later literary reinterpretations that inspired the story of Peter Pan and the original concept of the Lost Boys. What appears today as a whimsical children's tale actually has roots in far older mythological themes involving abduction, exploitation, and the corruption of innocence. This is why Michael Jackson named his estate Neverland. Many researchers argue he was allegedly placed under MK Ultra Peter Pan programming, a psychological framework built around the archetype of eternal boyhood. This programming blurs the line between childhood and adulthood, creating a state of perpetual innocence, emotional immaturity, and a desire to remain ageless and childlike. If you look at Jackson's demeanor throughout his life, he consistently displayed a gentle, almost childlike innocence. The accusations made against him were never proven, and I and many believe they were false. Under Peter Pan programming, an individual may genuinely feel and behave like a child internally, which explains why Jackson gravitated towards spending time with children because, psychologically, he believed he was one of them. Corey Feldman, a prominent Hollywood actor and one of the most outspoken whistleblowers on industry abuse, actually rose to fame through the film The Lost Boys. The symbolism is hard to overlook, considering his later revelations about the very executives and power players who operated within the same predatory systems that the Lost Boys archetype subtly reflects. These things are not random, they are archetypes that carry spiritual significance. Hollywood uses mythology because those mythologies are tied to ancient belief systems, and once you understand those systems, you see how they reincarnate into modern media. The masses absorb the symbolism without realizing its origins. Hefner's mansion was constructed with symbolic architecture, hidden chambers, ritualistic rooms, and spaces dedicated to conjuring or invoking spiritual entities. Elites genuinely think these rituals give them access to power, and because they control mass media, their belief systems ripple outward into society. Hugh Hefner himself publicly acknowledged being bisexual in the early 1970s, and he became an outspoken advocate for a broad spectrum of sexual rights. Some theorists interpret this not simply as personal identity, but as part of a larger cultural initiative to steer public perceptions of sexuality through the Playboy media empire. This is why misleading narratives persist. Ivy League institutions openly admit that certain historical texts were altered, plagiarized, or reinterpreted to fit political agendas. Social engineering is not about truth, it's about narrative. People get angry when this is exposed because it challenges the version of history they were conditioned to believe. The elites, especially those embedded in entertainment, politics, and academia, operate from a worldview that blends occult philosophy, ancient mythologies, and modern psychological manipulation. What they practice at the highest levels eventually becomes the culture of the masses, whether through music, film, fashion, or social movements. Their rituals influence their decisions, and their decisions shape global culture. And unless someone is spiritually grounded, they fall prey to it without ever realizing what's happening. Much of America's modern sexual landscape, particularly post-mid-20th century, was shaped by elite figures who deliberately studied and adapted esoteric traditions, allegedly. According to this view, cultural gatekeepers filtered these concepts through entertainment industries and mass media, normalizing new sexual ideologies under the guise of liberation.
Know that part of the deal was you had to have sex with this guy.
I didn't know at first what was going to happen, especially that first night, because
Hugh Hefner died in 2017, but the secrets in his basement lived on. Hidden cameras had been recording guests since the late 1970s. Former girlfriends said the basement stored mountains of adult content that Hefner used to control people. One vault contained FBI files showing decades of investigation. By 2022, over 10 lawsuits emerged from victims who discovered they had been recorded. The basement wasn't just hiding parties. It was hiding crimes that would haunt Hollywood forever.
Baby oil? Why do you like baby oil? I have a big thing. I have a big thing.
Did Johnson's ever...
Look what he says here, right in your face.
You must have gone through Atlantic Ocean of baby oil. Was that too much? Was that too much of a domestic thing to have? Lots of baby oil. There's 3 more bottles of that stuff.
What was he doing? Why did he have those tunnels? He was providing these honeypots, these ladies, so that the CIA could then have some dirt, and they all work together. It's all a big old connection. That's why, of course, Epstein supposedly killed himself in a max security, and their cameras weren't on, supposedly. Again, question everything, guys. So again, I was able to see things firsthand at the Playboy Mansion. It was very, very, very strange for me. At that moment, when I started going to the Playboy Mansion, because it was for a few years that I was going out there, I never had even smoked weed. So drugs to me, I was like, I had no clue. Now looking back, and now I'll tell you, because my bail bonds have made me see a lot of things, I can distinguish when someone is on drugs now or is using some sort of substance or something like that. I'm able to see it, or even their energy's off, right? And yeah, all their energy was completely off. I mean, I was rubbing elbows with every celebrity you can think of. I'll attach some pictures. Yeah, again, we were programmed to accept all this, and that it was acceptable because it was Hugh Hefner, and it was like everybody wanted to be on that magazine because it was classy. Well, you tell me how classy it is if they featured a young Brooke Shields, aged 10, in the magazine, naked. That's what he did, and they accepted it. People accepted having a naked child looking with full makeup in a gentleman's magazine, and it was accepted, and it was okay.
And you know, I find it strange that there are constant discussions online and countless whistleblowers talking about elites being involved in man-boy love, child exploitation, and trafficking. As you can see here, Hugh Hefner allegedly played a role in bringing children from Vietnam, and he essentially operated the same way Epstein did, getting powerful and influential people into compromising situations and recording everything. Allegedly. Supposedly, this is how those at the top maintain control, by having leverage over people. Allegedly, once they're compromised, they're expected to push certain agendas and stay silent about anything that contradicts the narrative. Hugh Hefner had a reality show called The Girls Next Door, which aired on the E! Network from 2005 to 2010. The series followed the daily lives of him and his girlfriends, and quickly gained massive attention, running for 6 seasons. Around that same time, the Kardashians were just emerging, and Kim Kardashian quickly became the star of the show. Of course, her mother, Kris Jenner, who many people believe strategically managed Kim's image in ways that pushed the boundaries, saw an opportunity to elevate her daughter's fame by encouraging her to pose for Playboy.
And Kim Kardashian to see Mr. Hefner. It's Kim and Kris to see Hef. Right here? Oh, okay. Thank you.
You are practically naked. Pull your top up.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
Hi, I'm
You as well.
And this
Absolutely.
is Kim Kardashian.
Well, I'm very excited about having you in the December issue. Face, the hair, the booty. I think it will all be very...
Take her clothes off.
Oh, yes.
And I just don't know if this is something I want to do. They want me to show more skin for this new shoot.
I started the magazine with the December 1953 issue, Marilyn Monroe, on the cover, and...
Rose done it. I feel a little bit more comfortable with it, but it is going to be nerve-wracking.
Thank
Very
you.
nice to meet you.
Thank you
Very
so
much.
much.
Of course, Kim has always been obsessed with Marilyn Monroe, so that made her feel more comfortable with the idea of posing. If you want, I can cover that entire obsession in another video. Yeah. And Kris, she was right there, smiling and celebrating the moment. Many people felt that she was essentially pushing her daughter into the spotlight at any cost. Because what do you call it when a mother arranges a business deal with an older man, known for building an empire on sexualized images of young women, fully aware of how these photos will be consumed, and yet showing little concern for how that affects her own daughter? But what do you really expect from someone who has long been accused of orchestrating the release of Kim's sex tape, an incident that ultimately became the foundation of their family's rise to fame? This is the behavior many people associate with the narcissistic mother, someone willing to sacrifice anything, even her own daughter's well-being, if it benefits her. The sex tape and the Playboy shoot were never Kim's ideas. Critics have long argued that Kris was the driving force, pushing her into situations without considering how these choices would affect her future. And the fallout has been obvious. Kim will never experience a truly normal life or approach relationships without that history attached to her name. She gained enormous wealth, yes, but money can't replace the peace, privacy, or genuine happiness that was traded away in the process.
I now hold the opinion that Kim Kardashian is a prostitute, and I'm not going to edit this opinion. Kim Kardashian is a prostitute. Her mother is a pimp. Worse than a prostitute, Kim Kardashian is a corpse. She's a body without a soul. She is so emblematic of the society that we live in today, that if you are willing to degrade yourself, if you are willing to denigrate yourself, then our society, our American society, will give you more, right? How much are you willing to show us of your body? How much are you willing to give us of your daughter's body? That is the price of fame, and she did it. The 3 sex tapes that her and her mother and him decided to choose between, her mother was so involved. Did you hear him? She was so involved in the details. She wanted to pick which sex tape to release. And then she went to her friends and she sat down with the honchos and she sold her daughter's body for fame. So no, it is not an exaggeration to say that Hollywood is satanic, because what could possibly be more satanic than that? What could possibly represent a more incestuous, if you will, relationship than a mother viewing her daughter's body, having sex, and selling it? This is where we're at. This is why we tell you not to follow the Hollywood type. This is why you should not allow your children to idolize Hollywood. This is why you should skip the Emmys, and you should skip the Grammys, and you should skip every other show. Because the people that are receiving these statues, this form of idolatry, I will do anything for this statue. I will do anything for fame. I will abort my child. I will sell my child. You tell me what I have to do. These are not the people that we should be following.
I know a lot of us know intuitively that Kris Jenner and Kim Kardashian were behind the sex tape. But if you want to know, I have what I believe is the smoking gun behind them doing it, which is the literal contract that they made with Steve Hirsch, with Vivid Entertainment, that they were going to be the ones to distribute the sex tape. It did not get leaked. How do I have the smoking gun? Ray J gave it to me. I met up with Ray J. He gave me every single one of the documents. And in it weren't just how Kim and Kris orchestrated the whole sex tape, but it was also how they allegedly had been stealing money from Grande, who is Ray J's sister. And that gave them a significant boost to the entrepreneurial career that they say they have. I know this might seem crazy because it's like, whoa, they should be in jail if that is true. But is it that crazy to see them building a career off of the backs of Black people? And all of this goes especially crazy when you consider Kim's new career path of being a lawyer to help set wrongly convicted people free. But then, which is how they opened up season 1 of the Kardashians on Hulu, they used a Black man as a scapegoat for the sex tape that they set up, pretty much framing it that he was extorting them when they had the plan all along. I mean, I have the documents, the contracts, the DMs, and in fact, I put this all in a YouTube video, which is already out. It's all on my YouTube channel for you guys to go watch now. It's pretty good. If you think you know the story, I promise you, you don't.
He was a basketball player, played for
such a pusher,
one of the LA teams. And us three were in the kitchen, and we were like talking together, and I was like, my mom was not involved in the conversation, but her office was off to the kitchen. And I was like, so-and-so isn't calling me back, yada, yada. And we're just chatting. And she's like, what are you guys talking about, girls? And we're like, just this guy won't call me back. She's like, well, how many dates did you go on? I'm like, well, just like one or two.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, did you give him a BJ? And
we were like, what?
And she goes, did you give him a BJ? I go, I went on like one or
date.
2 dates with him. No. And she goes, well, that's why he's not calling you back. And she just turned around, and I'm like,
went back to her office.
What?
I remember looking at you like,
and I was mortified.
God, she's the goat. Like, clearly,
no,
she knows something we don't know.
She's like, if you're dating and you want to act like you're dating, ma'am, I'm telling you, he's wasting his time.
And Kris Jenner asked Lauren Sanchez for a favor and to invite her 3 other daughters, Kylie, Kendall, and Khloe, to her wedding because they weren't originally invited. Of course, Kim was on the guest list because she's real-life friends with Lauren, but when she and her mother, Kris, went on to the bachelorette trip with Lauren, Kris asked Lauren if Kylie, Kendall, and Khloe could join because they're all single and at home. And, you know, Kylie's not technically single, but I feel like Kris is allowing her to be single for this weekend. Source claims that Lauren doesn't even know the 3 other sisters, but Kris was thinking that there would be a bunch of bachelors, a bunch of billionaires there, and that maybe one of her daughters could score big. Kris is always thinking about business, but she had her eye on Tom Brady, Orlando Bloom, a bunch of other rich men that could maybe go and take care of Khloe or Kendall and maybe even Kylie if Timothy doesn't step up to the plate. I feel like if anyone had any luck there, it's probably Kim, because I feel like she has her eyes on the prize. She's not going to have another Kanye West-like relationship. It's a little bit embarrassing that Kris had to go and ask Lauren to invite her other daughters. It definitely doesn't help the allegations that Kris Jenner pimps out her daughters, because now it looks like she's trying to hook them up with some billionaires.
I mean, look at her and Timothy nowadays. Blac Chyna has been vocal about these allegations, asserting that Kris allowed Tyga to groom Kylie when she was just 15 years old. Blac Chyna accused Kris of orchestrating Kylie's relationship with Tyga, who was significantly older and already a father, for the sake of fame and clout. Damn. Should do anything for the clout. Blac Chyna's revelations paint a picture of a family dynamic in which Kris is accused of prioritizing fame over the well-being of her children. No surprise. She allegedly encouraged Kylie to date older men, positioning these relationships as beneficial for her public image and career. This behavior has led to Kris being referred to as Pimp Mama Kris, a nickname that reflects the perception that she manages her daughters' lives in a way that resembles exploitation. Now, these kind of allegations aren't new when it comes to Kris Jenner and her parenting style. I mean, we saw what she did with Kim Kardashian and Ray J, because that tape that was leaked was completely planned. I mean, Kris Jenner had all the contracts filled out, all the paperwork done to a T. She knew what she was doing. Can you imagine being in a position where you are reviewing and producing your daughter's intimate tape for a fake leak? Ray J claimed that Kris Jenner watched multiple different tapes of him and Kim and chose which one to release to the public. That is disgusting. In May, he leaked a private conversation that he had with Kim after the first episode of The Kardashians on Hulu aired. Ray J claimed that he, Kim, and Kris had planned the tape's leak together. He called the narrative of the tape being leaked a lie, and it's a narrative created by Kris and Kim. Ray J branded the tape a deal in partnership between him, Kim, and Kris, and claimed that he suggested it to Kim after they saw their friend, Paris Hilton, release her, leak her tape and get a bunch of fame from that. While Kim has always maintained that she never wanted the video to come out, Ray J has insisted that she was instrumental in its release. Quote, "You're watching a whole family create an empire from a lie they've created, and it's heartbreaking and disrespectful to all the entertainers who have been honest and true to their craft." In one DM, he told Kim, "You know what we did? Your mom controlled this whole tape deal. Why are you trying to ruin me when you know I was just a player in this? You have to stop believing your own lies."
I don't have respect for Kris Jenner and Kim because you guys know that we was all in the shit. Like, how dare you talk about your kids and not think, damn, he got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. What is his daughter gonna think about him? Like, growing up, like, what is my son gonna think? Oh, it's okay to do that because my dad was successful? Nah, fuck that. That shit didn't happen, son. Like, nah, they tried to put me on blast and I dealt with it. And this is just the beginning of it. Like, I'm gonna haunt you guys. Wherever you go, as far as like trying to lie on me, I'm gonna haunt you with the truth.
After Tyga and Blac Chyna had split up, we started to see him with Kylie Jenner more frequently. This led to many fans and popular news outlets speculating that the pair had begun to date. In October 2014, Kris Jenner spoke on Kylie and Tyga in an interview with Ryan Seacrest, affirming that the two were just friends. Although Kris maintained they were just friends, I think she was trying to watch her back because it wasn't quite legal for them to date yet. By summer 2015, the cat was officially out of the bag. Tyga had gotten a tattoo of Kylie's name earlier that spring. He also joined the Kardashians on a family trip to Paris, but the age gap between the two sparked some controversy because he was 25 and she was only 17. According to Khloe, she said that Kylie is not a normal 17-year-old, so you can't like ask her, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And are you having a slumber party or going to a prom? That's not what Kylie's doing. So they're trying to use this excuse that Kylie's different. She's different than other 17-year-olds. She's more mature, which is a common theme used to, take advantage of vulnerable girls because, oh, maybe she's in a different position than other teenagers. She's still a teenager. She's still a minor.
Kylie's main concern is actually her big 18th birthday party. Remember that whole thing? She actually got a Ferrari from Tyga.
Despite turning a few heads with their age gap, their relationship seemed to be going okay until they released a music video together for Tyga's song Stimulated. The song lyrics actually referred to their age gap, and he raps, "They say she's young, I should have waited. She's a big girl dog when she's stimulated." He also raps, "I'm going to do what the F I want to do when I want to do. She's a big girl dog, I'm putting it in, I'm penetrating, I'm getting big, I'm stimulated." So yeah, sounds like they're admitting to having doing it. Now, Kris obviously approved of this relationship as he was allowed to come on to the show multiple times. In one episode, you could see Tyga's actually complimenting Kylie's butt, and she was only 17 years old at this time. So there's no way in hell Kris Jenner, as nosy as she is, was unaware of her daughter dating a man who was entirely too old for her.
I see it jiggling.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really jiggling.
Now, it's so weird that the sisters and the family were okay with this relationship and even defending it.
This is probably gonna piss off a lot of people. I look at Kylie Jenner, she's a blow-up doll. She literally looks like a sex toy blow-up doll at this point. Like, it's so cartoonish. She's the one that I've noticed recently that kind of prompted me to want to talk about this, but like, I'm sure that there's plenty of others and some that probably have way worse work done than her. Like, she doesn't even look like she's like a normal human anymore. At a certain point, it's really training us to see women as not being human because none of what you see on her is found in nature.
I actually agree. She does look like a blow-up doll, and all her photos look like advertisements meant to attract clients. I knew Instagram was heavily used by IG models to advertise themselves, but I didn't realize celebrities were doing the same thing. Once you start paying attention, it's hard to ignore. But let's talk about her sister, Kendall. She's been posting nudes pics on IG for quite some time and appears to be a successful yacht girl. Allegedly. Yachting has long been one of the entertainment industry's most carefully maintained open secrets. Behind the glamorous veneer of celebrity culture, Countless models, actors, and influencers, some of them household names, have participated in this clandestine world at some point in their careers. The term refers to the practice of being compensated to spend time, socialize, or accompany extraordinarily wealthy individuals aboard luxury yachts. Although it is often framed as networking or an opportunity to enhance one's public profile, the reality is far darker. Yachting is entangled with coercion, sexual exploitation, and in some cases, human trafficking. Public awareness of the practice broadened after The Hollywood Reporter released a 2013 investigation into the environment surrounding the Cannes Film Festival. They revealed that young models and actors were routinely transported to high-end hotels and exclusive yacht parties during the festival. Jean-Luc, then a modeling agent and later convicted for supplying over 50 women to affluent Middle Eastern clients, explained, each year, 30 to 40 mega yachts dock in the Bay of Cannes. Every vessel hosts approximately 10 women, typically nude or half-nude. These women are presented as party guests, but in reality, many function as escorts. The boundaries between influencer, model, and escort become intentionally blurred. The arrangement is understood. Attend the yacht, entertain the host and his circle, and by night's end, receive a luxury handbag filled with cash. The sum varies based on what was expected and the woman's level of fame. Brunel claimed to recognize several notable Hollywood names. Many participants rationalize it by convincing themselves they are merely networking, dating, or building connections. Some of the individuals rumored to have participated include Bella Hadid, Hailey Bieber, and Meghan Markle. Though these remain unverified speculation, a recurring question is, why would someone who is already wealthy or successful participate? Because the men who own these yachts occupy the highest tiers of global power, royalty, billionaires, political elites. Access to them can dramatically accelerate a career. These people control the world, and associating with them meant more work and greater notoriety, whether in modeling, acting, or even a political career. They can literally make or break you. You also have to take into consideration that the money from that kind of work is tax-free, and the models, singers, and actresses take home the full amount without having to split it with agents or their music label. A lot of singers actually end up owing money to their label, so this line of work becomes very attractive to them. The Hollywood Reporter noted that yachting your way into fame is far more common than the public realizes, citing Irina, who secured her debut film role in Hercules despite having no acting background. A Stylist magazine source expanded, you see people on red carpets whose names you don't know. There's always a reason they're being elevated, and the person who invited them is being elevated as well. They added that influencers who appear perpetually on private jets with no clear income streams often have powerful benefactors funding their lifestyle. To understand the magnitude of wealth involved, consider some of the vessels that appeared at Cannes in 2019. The Serene, a $500 million super yacht owned by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, complete with dual helipads, an indoor climbing wall, a world-class spa, and 3 swimming pools. The Eclipse, one of the largest yachts in existence, valued at $1.2 billion. When you consider the environment, the potential career leverage, and the 5- or 6-figure gifts often provided at the end of the night, it becomes easier to understand why even financially secure individuals may participate. In 2021, Emily Ratajkowski published her memoir My Body, describing how powerful men shape and exploit women within the modeling and entertainment industries. She recounts one of her own yachting experiences and names one of the clients, Joe Low, the Malaysian financier now a fugitive for orchestrating the multi-billion-dollar embezzlement scandal. After Emily's revelations, people began connecting Joe Low to other public figures
these days, but Miranda was doing it for real. She was linked to Joe Low of the 1MDB scandal infamy and James Packer, richest man in Australia and 16 years older, not a looker. She was clearly out for a capital B billionaire, which is interesting to me because she was financially successful in her own right. She was previously married to Orlando Bloom and was a top model. She could have found someone rich and hot, but she was on the hunt for a billionaire specifically. She did land on the youngest billionaire in the world at the time, Evan of Snapchat, so it did work out for her in that sense. Now that was a lot of opinions at once, so let's go ahead and break down some of these allegations because Miranda has been linked to some really suspicious people. Like this headline reads that Miranda Kerr welcomed romance and diamonds from future fugitive Joe Low. This article reads the Australian-born Victoria's Secret supermodel would soon turn 31. She was also newly divorced from actor Orlando Bloom and the mother of a 3-year-old son. Her relationship with her future husband husband, the Snapchat billionaire Evan, wouldn't begin for another year. Now, at this point in her life, she's now a single woman. She's a mother. She was eager to launch a career as a cosmetics entrepreneur, probably seeing people like Kylie Jenner make so much money. But to do that, she needed someone with a lot of money to invest in her plans to expand her small organic skincare brand. So Miranda must have thought she was pretty lucky to cross paths with a very friendly man, Joe Lo, a Malaysian billionaire, in early 2014. He's heavily invested in Hollywood. He was part of the project that launched Leonardo DiCaprio's The Wolf of Wall Street. And I've actually talked about Joe Lo before on my channel because he seems, in my opinion, celebrity obsessed. He loves to hang out with the Kardashians, Jennifer Lopez, anyone who will give him attention. And Miranda was ready to give a billionaire attention.
I like to have receipts, so I did find an article that you can find on Google. I didn't use DuckDuckGo, I didn't use Reddit, I used regular old Google, and I found this article. We're gonna go over it, but this is something that's been happening for quite a while. I feel that people are catching on more and more as time goes on to it, but for a while I feel that people were like, oh, they're just out having fun on a boat, without knowing that there's more to it than just that. This is from Scandalous Media, and the article is Dark Hollywood Yachting. What is it and who does it? As you can see, Kendall and Bella Hadid are on a yacht. This was back in 2019 in Cannes. For many years, all I ever wanted to do on ESMG was explain what yachting was and how that plays a role in the lavish celebrity lifestyle our dear starlets lead. By definition, yachting is the use of recreational boats and ships called yachts for racing or cruising. But we all know that in Hollywood, yachting means something entirely different. Yachting in dark Hollywood is when a celebrity, oftentimes a female entertainer, goes on these lavish yachts that are provided by billionaires, industry executives, and so on, and basically sleep around for a huge sum of money. I'm talking 6 figures per night. Obviously, these trips are funded by big names, political figures, and basically people that aren't well known to commoners. Remember, like I said, the people in our face that have money in this lifestyle are typically funded by the ones that we aren't seeing that actually have true, substantial wealth. There have been many rumors that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has funded lots of these trips for Instagram models. Also, he bought a $400 million yacht. So it's hard to believe that he's leading anything holy on that. There was once a whole story circling around a Schmeck's ring on Instagram, but that was quickly shut down. To the outside eye, as in to the people scrolling through IG and seeing these photos, if they were in the mood to be photographed, it just seemed like a lavish yacht trip. But to insiders, they see it for what it truly is, a form of work. To all my listeners that like Vanderpump Rules, if you remember back when Lala first came on the show and the girls were talking about how she was yachting, she was very offended by that. But the truth is the truth. Side note, just because a celebrity is on a yacht doesn't mean they are yachting by the definition of dark Hollywood. I'll say more times than not, though, it probably is. Another side note, just because I am using photos of celebrities on yachts doesn't mean that what I'm talking about in this post is happening during that particular event, unless stated explicitly. All alleged information, guys. I haven't heard of men doing it. Usually it's the women who are paid for how she services the men in power or the yacht. Just because I'm saying it's mainly female entertainers doesn't mean that men don't sleep around too. However, I am talking in my specific definition of yachting to avoid confusion. There are many male celebrities who are closeted that are flown overseas to sleep with other powerful men. I'm not going to mention any names because you know. That's usually done for pleasure and not for furthering connections like I'm focusing on in this post. It's a wide criteria so you guys can fill in the dots as you please. Correct. By the way, all this sexual work doesn't just take place on a yacht, but that's the general term because that's where it originally started. Sometimes you can just meet a person there. And the industry plans and grooming post mentioned J.E., not gonna say his name, and his private sex trafficking island. If you look into it, Jay also had some yachts under his belt, and most famously the dancing hair, which was worth $15 million. The way I'm releasing this dark Hollywood series is to tell a story. As you guys are starting to see, everything works together. The industry plants that are groomed were also often yachters. Going back to who yachts, the most famous categories are young models and actresses. There are so many people who I have heard of partaking in the activity, but to get specific for my blog and this audience, I used to hear lots of stories about Ariana Grande, Hailey Baldwin, Selena Gomez, and Bella Hadid. I'm not really sure if Miley Cyrus and Demi Lovato were heavily involved, or if it happened a few times, but I can't recall a specific story when it comes to them. They were involved in more dark stuff under the Disney enterprise, which I've exposed here. As for the Jenners, in my professional opinion, I'm pretty sure they did, especially during Kylie's Misfits era. But it was usually because they wanted and not often because they needed. Needed to. I forgot to. Not often because they needed to. If you guys remember, my source did one time say that one requirement of being in the Misfits group was sleeping around. However, I think that was childish play in comparison to what we're talking about in this post. Many years ago, I heard from a source that Ariana reportedly canceled a career gig to go on a yacht because that was going to pay her more than what the career gig would. In the earlier years, when Hailey was known as Baldwin, she was also reportedly on many of these lavish yachting trips. Bella Hadid is a big name in the yachting world whenever sources tell me about it. Now Selena Gomez, also a very big name in the yachting world. But let's talk about one specific trip. Remember that big New Year's trip Selena took with a bunch of girlies and went to Dubai? It was in 2014, and Selena, Kendall Jenner, Gigi Hadid, Shay Mitchell, Josephine Scriver, and Devin Windsor all went to Dubai. Word on the street that back in the day that it was a huge yachting trip with an even bigger price tag. Hailey was always someone who did something because her friends did it. Her friends being Bella Hadid, Kendall Jenner, and etc. So I've definitely heard of stories of her yachting, but none during her marriage to Justin. Also, something that you guys have to understand is that the celebrity lifestyle these people want to lead can't be funded by their work alone. The money from streaming, TV shows, brand collaborations, partnerships, social media, and so on can only fund so much. Why do you think that's something I've talked about often in regard to the Hadids? The lifestyle they want to lead just can't be funded through their modeling gigs. It's not enough. Especially back in the earlier days for them. Nowadays, they are bigger names in the modeling industry. I don't know why I said world. In the modeling industry. But it's not like they're Kendall Jenner, who's the highest paid model and has her family business to fall back on. Highest paid. We've talked about the topic of money in regards to Zayn Malik and Gigi's relationship here. Why do you think Yolanda Hadid is always in Bella and Gigi's life, disapproving or approving of the men they choose based on their finances? Also explains why Gigi was with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's what she did! It's hard to break out in the modeling industry, and a lot of fashion opportunities present themselves this way, especially if you're on a yacht in Cannes. Have you noticed a theme here with Cannes yet? There's so much more than meets the eye. Ooh, I've already talked about this in my one video where I discuss the Sussex family and how Harry and Meghan possibly don't actually have real kids and that they're fake. That's not what I'm talking about today, but yes, I mentioned Meghan Markle was reportedly a big name in the yachting world, as well to the point where they are topless photos of her on a yacht. I've personally seen the photos, but obviously I'm not going to publish them. Anyway, you don't get connections like that through pure luck in the industry. You have to work for the connections. So the bottom line as to why celebrities yacht can be summed up down in two words: money and connection. It's a short-term gig for a long-term future if you are smart. And it's also a way for people to meet, kind of like an illegal Tinder. Sources tell me all the time, all celebrities yacht, so if you're wondering if your fave has done it, the answer is probably. Now, of course there are exceptions, I just can't list them off the top of my head.
There's also no position in life too high to ever stoop to yachting. Not even royalty. Meghan Markle deleted so many Instagram posts to clean up her image. They were also around the time of her yachting days. Being a Duchess of Sussex is what makes her come up so intriguing, but allegedly she did more than suits to get where she is. The darker part of this theory is that so many people believe Prince Andrew and Markle may have crossed paths while yachting. According to a Vanity Fair interview, this is around the time she met Harry. Yes, the time that she was on yachts was around the time that they met in July of 2016. You get them how you can.
So now she's in 2010 as an actress. What is she doing in 2010? She's doing day parts. She's CSI Miami, Officer Leah Montoya for one episode. Get Him to the Greek, uncredited. The Candidate, which was a short film, which means nobody ever saw. Now, what do you do in the meantime to make money? Well, a lot of people wait tables, a lot of people do that kind of stuff. According to Meghan, though, she didn't do any of that stuff. She said, quote, I don't wait tables. I don't have a side job. I'm in the club of the fortunate few that somehow make a living playing dressing. When it's good, it's effing awesome. So that's how Meghan was running in 2010. They would go out and they would find some rich guys, and that's what they would do.
I've seen so many comments about how the idea of yachting is just a misogynistic conspiracy to disparage women, that the whole industry does not exist. And if you think that, I recommend that you read Christie Brinkley's autobiography, Uptown Girl. Christie Brinkley, for those who don't know, was a huge model in the 70s, probably the biggest model at that time. In her book, she said that 5 months after she started her modeling career, a client asked her to fly to the south of France to accompany a group of men on a yacht in the Mediterranean. They told her that her job was to be nice to everybody on board, because everybody on board could be beneficial to her career. Christie said that she had heard of girls who, after doing such trips, had come back with fancy cars, jewelry, and a new magazine cover. But she said no, because she wanted to get there on her own terms, not underneath someone else's. And that was all the way back in the mid-70s. And Christie knew then what it was about. So yachting was a thing even back then. And a common thing I hear from people who deny the existence of yachting is that the girls involved are just too rich to have to do something like that. Christie herself grew up very wealthy in Malibu. She went to private school, studied abroad in Paris, and they still offered her this opportunity because whether she's wealthy or not, such activity would benefit her career. Later on in the book, Christie described another incident where she was inadvertently involved with a yacht party. She and her boyfriend at the time, Olivia Chandon, were invited aboard a yacht owned by Saudi billionaire Adnan Khashoggi. She said that it became clear to her that the next morning he was planning to throw a party on his yacht, complete with models that he flew on board to entertain his male guests. Christie thought that it wasn't a good look for her to be at such a party, so she left. Christie's memoir is worth a read, if only to hear about what it's like to live a completely charmed life. Well, until she was about 40 or so. But yes, yachting existed then, and rich women are offered the opportunity to get involved.
Miranda Kerr allegedly made $1.2 million in one night for sleeping with a foreign politician. And she was allegedly paid by that foreign government, not a private citizen, which is why this is public knowledge. And this was after she was married to Evan Spiegel. And he's the founder and CEO of Snapchat, so they definitely aren't in need of money. Maybe she just wanted some of her own money? But back when this happened, she set the all-time one-night yachting record for how much she was paid. And there were even rumors that she entertained more than one man that night. But the politician has been definitively linked. And the blind item reads, back when this happened, the payout would have set the all-time one-night yachting record. That mark has since been topped, and it even exceeded what the lingerie model turned wife of the vanishing text guy allegedly earned back in the day. The foreign-born model at the center of this story was married then and is still married to the same man now. Her fame came from showing off lingerie, but the only reason anyone knew that this was a record deal is because a government, not some wealthy private client, footed the bill. Officially, she was flown in for a public appearance, which conveniently allowed the government to cover the fee. But after her quick 30-second duty was done, she spent the rest of her visit with a politician from that country. Rumor says she wasn't exclusive and may have entertained others too, though only one politician has been definitively linked. And the price tag for that night was roughly $1.2 million. And again, this allegedly Miranda Kerr, who was married to Evan Spiegel at that time. And the related blind item from June of 2017 reads, I've said before that no one in the yachting world was pulling in more money than her. And now the full picture of what this foreign-born A-list model was making is finally surfacing. I always knew she was getting paid in the upper six-figure range for each trip, but even I didn't realize the payouts sometimes crossed into the seven-figure territory. The numbers are honestly staggering, truly next-level earnings. And again, this allegedly Miranda Kerr being a very successful yacht girl back in the day. You think you know Hollywood? Think again, because a lot more of these celebrities, socialites, and influencers have set sail in the yachting industry than you may think. Some of them will shock you. Who's been discreetly entertaining millionaires and billionaires on luxury yachts? By now, you know the whole yacht girl thing is not just a rumor, it's a reality. This isn't just about influencers taking free vacations on super yachts. It's an entire underground economy, one that has quietly involved some of the biggest names in Hollywood, fashion, and even royal families. We're talking about A-listers, award-winning actresses, pop stars, and even reality TV darlings who at one point or another have allegedly sold their time, their presence, and sometimes much more to billionaires, businessmen, and power players who operate in the shadows. But here's the real kicker. It's not just about money. For some, being a yacht girl is a strategic career move, a way to gain access to the right people, get cast in major films, land record deals, or secure that all-important PR relationship. And that's not even touching on the ones who are recruited not for pleasure, but to serve as beards, fake girlfriends, or even wives, hired to help maintain the perfect Hollywood illusion. Models and influencers have played the game too, selling their image and companionship to wealthy benefactors who can open doors that talent alone sometimes can't. It's a complicated and convoluted world, and we're diving in even deeper and going back further into the years. The following were allegedly yacht girls from blind items spanning between 2016 and 2017. Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, Hailey Baldwin, Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez, Sofia Richie, Bella Hadid, Demi Lovato, Charlie XCX, Kate Hudson, Pippa Middleton, Meghan Markle, Zac Efron, Christina Aguilera, Emily Ratajkowski, Dove Cameron, Nina Agdal, Olivia Culpo, Irina Shayk, Sharon Stone, Kelly Teller, Bella Thorne, Demi Moore, Olivia Munn, Black China, Amber Rose, Kat Graham, Nina Dobrev, Miranda Kerr, who was allegedly the highest paid yacht girl of all time, Adriana Lima, Shay Mitchell, Michelle Rodriguez, Iggy Azalea, Nicole Scherzinger, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, Charlotte McKinney, Elsa Hosk, Georgina Rodriguez, Karrueche Tran, Catherine McPhee, Brooke Burke, Evan Rachel Wood, Portia Williams, Phaedra Parks, Misha Barton, Farrah Abraham, Marla Maples, Donald Trump's ex-wife, Leanne Pinnock from Little Mix, and Becca Tobin from Glee. The following women are alleged yacht girls, and this is just from blind items that I covered in 2018. This does not even come close to the full list of celebrity yacht girls. Hailey Bieber, Sofia Richie, Bella Hadid, Meghan Markle, Naomi Campbell, Kate Moss, Paris Hilton, Rita Ora, Olivia Culpo, Emily Ratajkowski, Nicki Minaj, Blac Chyna, Pamela Anderson, Priyanka Chopra, Tiffany Haddish, Ashley Benson, Ashanti, Christina Milian, Irina Shayk, Barbara Palvin, Lily Reinhart, Nina Dobrev, Misha Barton, Bella Thorne and her sister Dani, Jocelyn Chu, Chantel Jeffries, Ronda Rousey, Kesha, Hayden Panettiere, Amber Rose, Nicole Scherzinger, Chloe Sevigny, Tara Reid, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, Iggy Azalea, Michelle Rodriguez, Brielle Bierman, Karrueche Tran, Charlotte McKinney, Camilla Morone, Nina Agdal, Spencer Pratt's sister Stephanie, Blanca Blanco, Farrah Abraham, Courtney Stodden, Snooki and JWoww, Amanda Knox, and the alleged OG yacht girl Grace Kelly. We're also talking about a few alleged yacht boys in this episode, including Zac Efron and Disney Channel's Kevin Quinn. And then there is the media that allegedly promotes yacht girls and essentially allows them to advertise on their sites to clients, including the Daily Mail and TMZ. We recently spoke about how Lily Chi is allegedly a yacht girl who is currently working for Tobey Maguire in hopes of getting a new acting role, and Leonardo DiCaprio likes to watch them hook up, allegedly. But according to this new blind item, Lily Chi would like all of her followers to think that she is some kind of entrepreneur, when in reality she really gets all of her money from yachting. Everything in this video is alleged, not confirmation of validity of allegations. The barely legal to drink yachter who plays for pay with the former superhero likes to pretend to her followers that she has all of these different revenue streams because she is an entrepreneur. She is, but she doesn't tell her followers she is a yachting entrepreneur. And again, this is allegedly Lily Chi and Tobey Maguire. The related blind item from the other day reads, the actress/model who is just old enough to drink and once got expelled for bullying and is not named Apple is back yachting again. She likes doing it with actors and hopes she can still get a big acting break. She and the former superhero are back at it again. His best friend likes to watch. And again, that best friend is allegedly Leonardo DiCaprio. And the related headline reads, this is crazy. Spider-Man star Tobey Maguire, 49, reportedly dating 20-year-old model Lily Chi, who is part Malaysian.
I don't want to glorify this. I'm going to call this what it is. This is literally a yacht girl advertisement. This is literally a yacht girl advertisement, okay? The Daily Mail loves to do this too. This is their way of saying, hey, Aoki Lee Simmons, this 21-year-old is willing to publicly make out with this 65-year-old. Just imagine what she's willing to do for you for the right price. This is extremely disturbing to me. But this is yacht girling. I told you guys, yacht girl season is upon us. Come spring, we are in the throes of it. But this is a little bit next level. Usually it's just like, you know, Daily Mail pictorials with Emrata splashed across, or Hailey Bieber and Kendall Jenner. This has ratcheted up a notch. A 21-year-old and a 65-year-old. And it's not a 43-year age difference. It's a 44-year age difference. But yeah, I saw this. I've seen this. This is super disturbing to me. And call it what it is. This is literally a horizontal professional advertisement. Thanks, New York Post, for promoting this. But it's also super disturbing considering Russell Simmons is hiding out in Bali because he was this guy, okay? And he's hiding from criminal charges, obviously. And for Kimora Lee Simmons to like have been like, oh, Russell Simmons wrong, and then to enable this, it's perpetuating the same cycle of schmishmuse. And this makes my stomach drop. I was a 21-year-old girl once, and it's just, I hope someone out there pulls this 21-year-old girl aside and is like, you don't want to end up like your mom. You don't want to end up with someone like your dad.
Alleged yacht girl Lori Harvey is supposedly posting thirst traps on social media to try and get new yachting clients, because her clients allegedly only stay interested for a weekend or two and then they move on, and she's looking for a big payday. And the blind item reads, this pseudo-celebrity offspring has been flooding social media with thirst traps lately. Why? Because her yachting clients usually lose interest after a weekend or two, and she's desperate to secure a payday. And again, this is allegedly Lori Harvey being a yacht girl and struggling to get clients to stay.
Yeah, but you have more money than we have, Fantasia.
You don't know that.
Okay.
A lot of artists that you see, they look like they have it. And we smile and we come out and we put on a good show. But in real life, some of them are struggling. And we don't have it. I'm just now building myself back up. I lost everything twice. So I cook my own food. I don't need no chef. I'm from North Carolina.
Artists never makes money off their music. Most artists. Like, I own my music. Most artists, signed artists, don't. They sign their masters away, which means the ownership of that music. They don't own it. They have to pay back their advance out of the 18%. So that means the record label's making 82% on the side off their music as they're paying them back. Typically what happens is they'll renegotiate another deal to keep the artist in debt. That's why you see all those artists that have to tour, have to push merchandise, they have to push these brand deals, because that's how they have to make their money.
There's not really a lot of money left at the end of the day, if any. I mean, I know a lot of artists that come home from tour and are actually in the red. Yeah. Like, they lost money on tour.
Yes.
I don't know how long this has been happening, but I do remember a time where artists can go on tour and it was a viable revenue stream, especially if you were independent.
It was the viable revenue stream.
It was the viable revenue stream. What has changed?
I saw when they announced that Little Brother was going to be going on their farewell tour, they only announced the tour with, I think 10 or 12 dates. And he was apologizing, saying, we wanted to book shows in more cities, but for various reasons, it didn't work out. And fans were complaining about it. There's hundreds of other artists who are in the same exact predicament, but the pandemic really, really hurt. You had a lot of, we'll say, small to mid-sized venues. So we're talking about 100, 150, 200, 250 cap rooms. A lot of these venues went out of business.
Yeah.
So as a touring artist, you're left with fewer options for where you can perform in a lot of these cities. And on top of that, because the venues are not always booked and they're looking to get every little last micro penny out of the events that they do host, they started taking a cut from merch sales, which for a lot of artists is what actually put them in the black.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the venue, the label, the promoter, they weren't touching your merch sales.
That's
right?
crazy.
Now the story that I keep on being told is I came home and either I barely broke even.
Crazy.
Or I lost money. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I have to pay out everybody, and then I'm the last to get paid, and is there any money left?
Get ready with me for my show in Barbados. Listen, guys, I like my makeup. I have to style my own hair because the budget. So I have to I'm gonna try to curl a few pieces and then see if I can spread it out or something. But hopefully, the only thing I'm hoping is that it doesn't look empty on stage because I have a whole light behind me.
Here are two new shocking blind items that are allegedly about Tyla that say that she canceled her show because she was paid 3 times more to be a yacht girl for a few hours, and she also canceled her show due to extreme substance use. Apparently, the one named foreign-born industry plant singer canceled a recent gig because she was paid 3 times as much to yacht for a few hours. And again, this is allegedly Tyla. This next blind item reads, speaking of substances, if you are this one named foreign-born singer/industry plant, it is pretty easy to replace you with someone else. Stay off of the substances so you don't keep canceling shows. You are averaging 4 cancellations per month. And again, this is allegedly Tyla. Jennie from Blackpink is allegedly working as a yacht girl. And one of her recent clients has video evidence of her working and is passing around that video to other men. Everything in this video is alleged, not confirmation of validity of allegations. Apparently, a member of the Two Color group did some yachting, and there is a video of it making the rounds of the guy's friends. And again, this is allegedly Jennie from Blackpink.
The artist is the last to get paid. He's the brokest one out of everybody, but he's the most famous. So if you're in it for the fame, you want to stay broke, be the artist. But the day you see all the other sectors in the business that allows you to make real money, like the producer, like the songwriter, like the manager, like the agent, like the attorney, there's so many areas in the entertainment field that you can really maximize them.
Big bills come with what we do. We don't do this alone. The fact that we're up, there's a whole entire team behind us. Yeah. They have to get paid. So when you hear someone saying, oh, such and such made $10 million, no, that's not that didn't make it to their account. Know that off the top, Uncle Sam is getting 50%. That's right. Okay? So do the math. Now we have 5 million. Your team is getting 30% or whatever your team is off of what you grossed,
Sometimes
not
more.
after what Uncle Sam took. Now do the math. I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm tired.
If I would have known that other artists have gone through this, people I look up to, they would have just said that, look, it's not all great. It's not gonna be fine this whole time. If I would have known that, I would have been mentally prepared, first of all, prepared myself financially. I would have put something aside. I would have, but you know, from people that came before me, even rock stars, rappers, singers, it's just like, nope, this whole thing is just money all the time. You're good at something, it's just gonna be money, always. Nobody's ever been like, so this goes away after a while.
It was a time where I thought that everybody had money except me. I would see motherfuckers do these music video shoots and motherfuckers got chains and cars and all type of shit, and I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 motherfuckers. So there was a time where I was really thinking, bro, why do everybody got money and I don't got no money? Is it because I'm independent? The truth is, everybody didn't have no money. But, you know, they don't tell you that because the label job is to make it look like you got some money. We'll give you the car, we're going to give you the cosigns, we're going to put you in the studio with this motherfucker, we're going to have cameras following you around everywhere you go. I was thinking like, damn, everybody getting money but me. But nah, everybody look like they got money except me. You know what I'm saying?
Saweetie is allegedly a yacht girl who makes far more money from yachting than she does from her music career. And according to this blind item, she allegedly has a substance abuse problem that is making her messy and causing her to lose yachting clients. And the blind item reads, this A-list Nepo baby, who's a rapper, singer, niece, cousin, and granddaughter of famous names, earns way more from yachting each week than from her actual music. But her substance habit has gotten out of control, and the messiness is driving clients away fast. And again, this is allegedly Saweetie, who is the niece of MC Hammer, the cousin of Gabrielle Union, and the granddaughter of football player Willie Harper. And the related headline reads, Saweetie accused by ex-road manager of dodging payments, witchcraft, using substances, and leveraging romantic relationships to support her lifestyle. A woman claiming to be the rapper's former road manager shared a post to Instagram accusing Saweetie of unpaid debts, substance abuse, and exploiting her rumored relationship with soccer star Jadon Sancho for financial gain.
We have some more insight into the yachting industry, this time thanks to a disgruntled madame. A woman known as Maybach May on Instagram expressed her frustration with rapper Saweetie on her Instagram stories. She claimed that Saweetie owed her money for activities that she organised on Saweetie's behalf. She posted a video of Saweetie in a car in what appears to be Lagos, Nigeria, with the caption, "Hey Saweetie, let me know how you want to play this. I'm either going to receive my money from you or I can start addressing some of them rumours." The rumour currently going around about Saweetie is that she hooked up with Cardi B's husband, Offset, while they were still together. She continued, "We spent almost a month in Africa. Should have known I wasn't going to let you play me out my money." Money for what? And what was Saweetie doing in Africa? Thankfully, Maybach May did not end her diatribe there. She shed some light on how Saweetie met her man or ex-man, English footballer Jadon Sancho. That's actually her in that picture. She said, "I ain't never told a lie. I sent you to Dubai because you never balled before. Took you to London, took you to Nigeria, only for you to play with my money. Pay up before I start mentioning some of the husbands you were playing with." So this lady was arranging for Saweetie to travel the world to get with people's husbands for cash. That's what she's saying. So we're not just making that up, and it's not a misogynistic conspiracy. Maybach May wasn't done. Said she booked Saweetie to support the Chelsea soccer team, but she fell in love with the client and told him, i.e. Jadon, not to pay her. She even provided text message receipts. Saweetie said, "When girls run it up on Jadon, how much they doing in a weekend?" Apparently, Jadon is known as a generous king in these circles. Remember, he was flying Carucci here, there, and everywhere for a minute. She even addresses Jadon directly, saying, "Sancho, after you done paying and getting tattoos of a you barely know, remember, Jadon got Saweetie's middle name tattooed. Run me my money. I just want what y'all owe me." Interesting. Thank you, Maybach May, for the tea on this. I actually believe this is very common in LA. I heard it's not really frowned upon, but it's not necessarily talked about publicly like this lady did, so we're grateful.
Unfortunately, this is going to be the norm moving forward. As I said earlier, more entertainers are coming out and admitting, boldly, that they're not here to showcase talent. They're here to sell their bodies and the services tied to them, and they're using their platforms to advertise. This is the direction the industry is going, and they're openly embracing it. The rise of the past decade's female rappers can be largely attributed to the success of their predecessors, women who laid the foundation for what the genre would eventually become. Lil' Kim is often regarded as one of the greatest and most influential female rappers of all time. She is also credited as one of the pioneers of hypersexualizing oneself to sell records. While she wasn't the first to use sexuality in her artistry, artists like Foxy Brown and others existed before her. Lil' Kim took the archetype to a level that transformed the industry. Female rap did not start this way. When women first gained recognition in hip-hop, it wasn't because they were trying to be sexual, it was because they were talented. MC Sha-Rock is widely considered the first female MC, the mother of the mic. She emerged in the 1970s Bronx hip-hop scene and earned respect in a male-dominated environment through skill, innovation, and stage presence. She wasn't half-naked or selling sex, she was rapping, and she paved the way for everyone who came after her, like Queen Latifah and them. Back then, female rappers found success without relying on sexuality, but in the 90s, that would all change with Lil' Kim. Lil' Kim came up under Biggie's guidance. Initially, Biggie was skeptical of her talent until she started rapping for him and proved him wrong. But as good as she was, Biggie believed her career would go further if she embraced her sexuality. And he was right. Lil' Kim became the first mainstream female rapper to fully weaponize sex appeal. Her explicit lyrics, provocative outfits, and bold persona made her an overnight sensation. People flocked to her performances not for poetry, but for shock value. This technique worked extremely well. Her debut album Hardcore broke records and influenced the entire industry. Women wanted her confidence, her look, her aesthetic. Almost every female rapper who came after her copied her blueprint. Missy Elliott, Eve, Trina, and Foxy Brown all became successful in their own lanes, but none replicated Kim's impact. Lil' Kim created a template so powerful that it defines female rap to this day. Nicki Minaj, directly influenced by Lil' Kim, took Kim's formula and elevated it. She was younger, prettier, more versatile, and presented herself as both a rapper and pop star. Her talent combined with sexual branding made her one of the most successful female rappers of all time. She became the archetype of the modern female rapper. Explicit, glamorous, exaggerated, and hypersexualized. The women who came after her pushed this even further, to the point where the formula became extreme. Cardi B represented the next evolution. She wasn't pretending, she actually lived the lifestyle Lil' Kim and Nicki rapped about. She had the stripper background, the street stories, and the authenticity that fans craved. She became the biggest female rapper following the same blueprint, but doubling down on rawness. After Cardi's success, labels started searching for the next Cardi, and that's when things went downhill. By the late 2010s and early 2020s, new female rappers were no longer trying to push skill or musical innovation. They were trying to push boundaries of sexuality. Many weren't rappers at all. They were Instagram models with a microphone. Their music became purely promotional content for their image. Videos became indistinguishable from softcore corn films. Each new artist tried to outdo the last by showing more skin and being more explicit. Then OnlyFans entered the picture, and everything changed. The rise of OnlyFans allowed women to make millions not from music, but by selling their image. Actors, influencers, Olympic athletes, and female rappers flooded the platform. What used to be private, intimate content became mainstream and normalized as empowerment. Regular girls followed the trend. Men counted down the days until their favorite internet girls turned 18 to subscribe to their accounts. Society became desensitized to sexual exploitation. Women bragged about making money online, but ignored the reality that the same men they claimed independence from were still the ones funding their lifestyle. They traded long-term value for short-term financial gain. Saweetie's rise was based heavily on beauty and viral gimmicks, but eventually people got tired of the gimmick and her music declined. She tried to pivot into selling photos on another subscription platform, charging $25 a month, but when people stopped caring, the money dried up. According to socialite and influencer Maddie Moorbucks, many female rappers and models were allegedly participating in Dubai trips, where billionaires paid them tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to degrade them, including being used as human toilets. Multiple women, celebrities, and influencers have been accused of participating in these types of events. Saweetie has been accused as well, though she denies it. Tekashi 6ix9ine claimed Nicki Minaj also engaged in similar behavior during her rise. Again, she denies this. Whether true or not, the fact that society even believes these rumors says everything about the current state of female rap. Sexy Red represents the extreme endpoint of the raunchy female rapper model. Her entire brand is raw, explicit sexuality to levels the industry has never seen. She is the logical conclusion of decades of pushing boundaries. But this is deeper than music. Singers are not far behind. They've always been right there, ushering in this new face of so-called empowerment. And that brings us back to where we started this video, Summer Walker. Summer Walker has been very open about her recent dabbling in her tricking adventures. From her personal lives to podcast appearances, she seems unable to stop talking about selling it.
I date for money now. Your man, he spends money. He spends money.
Do you mind if the love that's being bought for you is fake items?
I do. Don't bring me no fake shit.
Why? You had no issue with buying fake shit for other people?
No, because I have to know that you're sitting up at night calculating your finances on how you're going to recover because you outdid yourself. Yes.
So you want them to spend?
Yes.
Perhaps go in debt.
And when you go broke, I will leave you.
Oh.
Figure it out.
So you're here to just bleed them dry.
Yes.
As soon as you get everything, you're off.
The type of woman you really were. Because I don't believe in past relationships turning you into a different person. You were already that person. It was deep inside you. And now you've become that because you have no choice. She's basically saying she is a prostitute. She is a hooker who gets paid money to date. So you're a prostitute. You're no different than the heifers that be on the sidewalks of streets or on these websites charging services. That's basically, you're no different than that. That's who you are. That's what you are. When I hear women talk about men spending money, okay, you must be an escort because only escorts accept gifts and money for sex. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. You're basically charging services for yourself. Charging for service. The prostitute mindset that these heifers have is why a lot of them will never be happy. Because they are too busy trying to run a man's pockets. This is also why men don't get married. Men don't get married because, especially men with money and resources, because they know that these women are gold diggers. I posted a video the other day about Kevin Durant on my base social politics channel. And he talked about how he doesn't want to get married because he'd have to give up something. That's what he said. He had to give up something because you know that marriage is not going to last. You know that marriage is not going to last. And here you got Summer Walker gleefully talking about how she wants a man to go broke spending money on her. You're not worth it. A lot of you heifers talking about getting money out of men, you're not worth it. These are the type of women who will go to Dubai to get humiliated for money. Women like her get paid to get humiliated for money. If she hasn't already, she gives off the energy of somebody who has. Because only a woman with no soul would react and say things like this. You can tell these women are soulless. You can tell they have done humiliating things for money. So now all they care about is material things. You know why? Because they have such a hole in their soul due to the disgusting things that they've had to do for money. They've had to give their bodies up for money. They've had to do things for money. So now they live for gifts and money. But let me tell you, heifer, something. At some point, these men ain't gonna want you. All you're gonna have is those gifts that were given to you. If you haven't sold them already or they've been stolen from you, that's all you're gonna have. And those memories will haunt you for a very long time. This is why you see these heifers going crazy now. Because of the things that they have done in their past. Because they wanted to go out here. They thought they was the hottest thing going. What's good, Kathy? Salute to everybody. So make sure y'all like the stream. Only to realize there are more attractive women out there who will take their place. A lot of y'all are prostitute minded, and it just shows me that you are for sale. You have a for sale sign on you. These women are for sale, which is why they're not getting wifed up. No one wants to marry them. Now you got videos from women like Superhead talking about it's okay to wife up slores. Now she's saying that you need to wife up a slur. Even though if you look at superheads relationships, they always in disaster. There have been men who tried to wife you up and it failed badly.
I had to do some digging. Superhead, aka Karine Steffans, which isn't her legal name. She rose to prominence among rappers in the late 90s and early 2000s. I was a baby back then, so I didn't know much about her. According to several sources, she was a popular video vixen and became widely known in the industry for her sexual relationships with rappers, earning the nickname Superhead because of her reputation for giving exceptional head. She eventually wrote a tell-all book detailing her encounters with countless rappers, actors, and entertainers. But look here.
I've been completely naked on a video before and have girls just really not understand the art and the beauty of being a naked black woman under the sun by a pool. There's a lot of jealousy and a lot of misunderstanding going on about the sexuality, especially of the black woman. I think that and a lot of times it's been made to seem dirty or hoish, or you can't do this, you can't do that. You know what? Insecure women are very competitive with other women. I am not competitive because in my eyes there is no competition. I believe that every woman should feel that way about herself, and then that way we won't have the tits for tats and the oh she's wearing this and the oh why is she wearing that. We wouldn't have that if women were confident and secure and knowledgeable. For a woman like as myself, I use my sexuality 100% all the time, every day of the year. That we're shunned or we're made to feel like we're doing something wrong because we use what we have, basically by the women that don't use it, or that don't know how to use it, or that wish that they could use it. Today's my birthday, by the way. I'm 24 years old today. Tell me happy birthday. Thank you very much.
That was sad to watch. I didn't really understand what she was trying to imply here. Was she suggesting that other women are jealous of her because she's freer than they are for not posing nude? Because she was willing to pose nude not just for the artist, but for the entire crew? All the models on set, and eventually everyone watching at home? She's pretty, yes, but I don't think being naked in front of the world is a position most people genuinely covet. The whole thing felt odd. A lot of women in the industry framed hypersexuality as empowerment. It was marketed as, I'm not ashamed. I'm confident enough to be naked. Other women wish they had this freedom. This narrative often gets pushed to make the behavior seem aspirational instead of exploitative. But in reality, many video vixens and models later admitted they felt pressured by male-dominated sets, shady managers, desperation for visibility, and the belief that sexual exposure was the only route to opportunities. And some were more desperate than others. So, when she implied others were jealous, it may have been a deflection, a defense mechanism to reframe something deeply vulnerable into something powerful. Industry brainwashing, the idea that sexual exposure equals liberation. A way to justify her past choices in a society that harshly judges women for the same behavior it profits from.
Men love sluts. Like a cum dump type of, like you want this, but patriarchy says you can't marry this. Patriarchy says, marry the virgin.
But then you the slut behind her back, you lose her trust.
You're gonna ruin her life. I want more men to feel safe marrying the whore. Because they're gonna keep you good. You're gonna wake up to sucks. You wake up, I'm already on freak shit. There's nothing you can't propose to me that I won't at least consider. I like doing household chores, but for sake, first thing in the morning, my man gets this, and he gets it in any way he wants. And he would crawl on my face and exactly.
Start at home, where you really want to be. A couple weeks ago was my birthday. The plan was that we're gonna have a foursome.
Of course, you can see how the conversation quickly shifted into talk about poly relationships. In my opinion, once you open your marriage to other people, it's no longer a marriage. And why is the focus always on men supposedly needing to have sex with slurs? And on top of everything, the language she uses is just so crass, ugly. It's hard to take someone seriously when they can't communicate without being disrespectful. Everything she described could be done within a healthy, monogamous relationship with a regular woman. And if these so-called slurs were really that good in bed, and if that were truly the only thing that matters, then Karine would be happily married right now. But she's been divorced multiple times, so her track record isn't exactly ideal. I also wish women would stop taking relationship advice from people who clearly don't know what they're talking about, unless you want to turn out like them. No one should aspire to be this woman though, in my opinion. Karine appeared on the Tyra show during her book release tour. I've seen a lot of comments criticizing Tyra, suggesting she was being mean to Karine. Let's take a look at this clip, and I'll share my thoughts afterward.
I really had to figure out what happened to me in order for me to heal. I had to admit it to myself, what I did.
But you had to know that naming the names and talking about the sexual exploits is what was gonna put the book, at the top of New York's best-selling list. I mean, it's number 5 on the best-selling list in New York Times right now.
Yeah, it is. And we're number 3 at the Washington Post, and we're also in the Wall Street Journal and all major markets. But honestly, that part was a surprise to me. And I didn't know that. All I knew was that I had to tell the stories that were relevant to my life, and everyone is named. And it's funny to me how everyone is so concerned about naming the celebrities, but no one is concerned about me naming the man that raped me when I was 13 and how his life is going to be now. You know what I mean? And so it just shows me that we're in a celebrity hypnotized society.
But you were hypnotized by the celebrity
exactly,
at once,
which
so
is the
you can
whole point of the
understand
book.
why people are so into
exactly,
it.
which is what's so ironic and so wonderful, because that's the point of the book. You know, just being hypnotized by that and just really wanting a place to belong and needing a family, needing love, and thinking sex and love are equated. And that's why there's a lot of sex in the book. And each time I have sex with someone, you'll read in the book where I say, I just loved him.
Why do you say that? Because I noticed that. I noticed that you would have sex with this guy and you said that you loved him.
Yeah.
What was that emotion that you were feeling, and why would you say something like that?
Because in my head I did. Because
because in the book she says that she'd have sex with somebody and then they'd get up and then they'd leave, or they'd tell you to leave. So how could you equate that with love?
I was never told to leave. I just think that, you know, I spent years with people. There's hardly anyone, there's a few, maybe 1 or 2 in there where it was uncomfortable and we separated. Jay-Z was like that, Dr. Dre was like that, where you just know you're better off being acquaintances and not lovers, and you stay friends afterwards. There are people in there that I stayed with for years, just off and on. But everyone would have to go. No one lived where I lived. They had lives other places. And so,
have you upset people from writing this book?
I haven't heard anything from anyone. The people that are most upset will be my mother and my ex, because they were the most brutal to me. And I was honest about that. Brutality, and that upsets them.
So these rappers aren't upset that you wrote about them?
No, they're fine, because there are so many things that I left out. The things that I got a lot of calls.
So if you ran into Usher, or you ran into Jay-Z, or you ran into, they're like, hey, Corinne, it's cool?
Well, we haven't been cool for years. You know what I mean? So it's not like I've had friendships all this time. These are people that I haven't spoken to, with the exception of Usher, who I haven't spoken to in years. And so when we do see each other, and we do, 4 Seasons brunch, and you just kind of pass each other, and you do one of these, and you just keep going.
Because I'll admit, if somebody wrote something about me in a book, I'd be pissed off.
Yeah, people wrote things about me in songs. So I've been pissed off before. I've been written about in magazines, you know, that were lies. And I've been pissed off before, too. You know, so I know how it feels. But the difference is that the things that were written about me weren't the truth. And this is the truth. And I tell them, as I tell everyone, if your name is in this book and you see something that you don't like, then you shouldn't have done it.
So do you think that you wrote this book because of revenge, out of revenge?
No, see, revenge is something that happens when people are miserable and upset and
so weren't
bitter.
You miserable and upset
Not when
and
I wrote
bitter?
this book. Not when I wrote this book.
Corinne, I have to disagree with you, because when I read the book, you were saying that you're really upset that, you know, that you were down and out, that these were the guys that you would go out with and wine and dine and spend a lot of money and hang out.
Yeah.
And then you had
But
your rock
I still
bottom.
have that lifestyle now. That
No, but I'm
lifestyle
saying, but
hasn't changed.
I'm talking about your rock bottom. And you hit a rock bottom where you were homeless, living in the car with your son,
Absolutely.
freezing to death, and using jackets to stay
but
warm.
all of that was my fault.
No, but
That wasn't their
what I'm
fault.
saying is you called these guys and said, I need some help.
Yeah.
And
And
none
they
of them
said
helped
no.
you.
None of them helped you. The same man who wrote me a $10,000 check on our first date wouldn't help me. Everything that happened to me was my fault. I did it to myself.
But then
I
why
allowed
name names?
people-
If there's no anger, why name the names?
Why not? It's just the truth. And so now that I've healed, it feels right to say, you know what? Let's not give this a pretty name anymore. Let's not say I was hanging out. Let's not say I wasn't. I was prostituting myself and selling myself for a lot less than I'm actually worth.
Okay, so I noticed 2 things. First, Corinne admitted in her book that she was upset none of the men she was sexually involved with supported her when she was struggling. And second, this should really be number 1. If she hadn't mentioned any famous names, she wouldn't have gotten a book deal, let alone become a New York Times bestseller or land a seat on a major daytime talk show. Her entire platform was built on exposing these men. With that in mind, I didn't sense any animosity from Tyra. She was simply asking the questions that anyone else in her position would have asked. We also can't ignore the type of book Corinne was promoting. This wasn't a typical memoir. She went into explicit detail about who had the biggest and smallest schlong and what they did, which was a completely classless move. And honestly, some people just have a very low tolerance for that kind of thing. Long after the book deal, Corinne continued name-dropping on every podcast she could appear on, and it became clear to me that she was primarily seeking affiliation with celebrities. Obviously, they had no real regard for her aside from fulfilling their sexual desires, and she didn't seem to care as long as she could remain in their orbit.
Wayne and Bao are my 2 boyfriends, and they're gonna be calling 3 o'clock in the morning. Wayne had the house number. So now, mind you, I have my kid. My husband has his kid. We have kids. And by the way, it's my house that I pay for. I pay all the bills. Everybody's dependent on me. I'm the boss bitch. Like, you don't pay for nothing.
You don't answer no phones around here.
Whatever. I do what the fuck I want. And I remember just waking up my husband like, hey, like, I gotta go. I'm taking the Rover. You gotta move your car.
You couldn't move it to the street and then pull yourself out?
No, I'm not doing all this manual labor. And then he would move the car. And then I remember one particular night, I was in my car, I was backing out of the driveway. He moved his car into the street, and then he gave me a kiss goodbye. I'm like, all right, baby, I'll see you in like 2 or 3 days.
Not 2 or 3 days?
Yes, and then I'd be gone for 2 or 3 days, and then I would go home to my husband, and he would have my dinner waiting, my bath water ran.
I want to be like Elizabeth when I grow up.
And then like a glass of wine, like, welcome home, honey. Did you have fun? Yes, bitch, I had so much fun.
You compare yourself to some like the Cleopatras of the world and so forth?
I do believe that there are a string of women historically who possess power, and a lot of times that power is distributed through sexual prowess, but it is never the end of the story. You know, that's just kind of a piece of it. So yeah.
You mentioned recently, I think you said you can't slut shame me.
You can't slut shame me.
Right. And Amber Rose was doing something similar also.
Really?
Yeah, she was organizing a slut walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know,
what does that mean, slut shaming?
what slut shaming is when society shames a woman for the amount of sex she either is or isn't having, depending on what the truth is. But yet that doesn't happen to men, right?
Her comparing herself to Cleopatra is honestly comical. But once you've done everything and it's all out there, and like Vlad said about Amber Rose doing the slut walk, it becomes the only narrative you can lean into. It's a coping mechanism. You can't shame me because I'm owning it. But the truth is, there isn't much else left for them to do once that reputation is cemented.
Men see celibacy as a challenge, not a turnoff. Right. Yes.
And I have experience.
Take that in for a second. Because here's the thing, being celibate, especially for a long period of time, it becomes almost like being a virgin all over again. And almost every man wants to be the one to break that celibacy. Like, okay, she's been staving off sex for 2, 3, 4. One person I know, it was 8 years for her. Couldn't believe that one. That was yeah. But the longer you're celibate, the more of a challenge it becomes to the man to be the one who breaks that celibacy, that history of celibacy. And if you've been abstaining, that means other men have been coming to you, you haven't found them attractive, and now it's like, this guy wants to be the one.
Okay, so seeing someone as a challenge is not the same as genuinely wanting to be with them. And girls, take notes. When a man sees you as a challenge, that's all you will ever be to him. Once he conquers you, it's downhill from there. There's a reason we hear so many stories of men cheating as soon as the girl gets pregnant. And yes, some men will even marry you as a challenge, get you pregnant as a challenge, and then completely switch up. It's actually very easy to tell when a man views you as a challenge. He'll constantly push your boundaries, what you do, what you say, and how you move. When a man truly loves you, there are no games. He just wants you around. It's really that simple. Now, back to Superhead. The fact that she even has to talk about celibacy raises question marks. When I hear women loudly announcing online that they're celibate, my immediate reaction is that they've been doing too much, sleeping around too much. Because naturally, when you're single, it's normal to not be in sexual relationships, but the urge to announce it says a lot. The same thing goes for women who talk about decentering men. What made you have to decenter them? Were you centering men so heavily and so unhealthily that now you have to force yourself to swing the opposite direction? And the same applies to feminists who bash all men online. Your experience is not universal. Not all men are horrible. Sometimes I hear their stories, and I think to myself, why did you let him treat you like that in the first place? Of course you're going to hate men if that's the kind of man you chose to tolerate. It's also interesting that many of the loudest feminist voices online are women who previously worked in sex industries, or women who are conventionally unattractive, and they form communities around hating men because it makes them feel better. But if they hate men so much, why not just stop talking about them altogether? They can't. It's like an obsession. Almost like a mental illness. Always consider the source. And those who support her, I will never understand you. Many people claim she can do what she wants, she's not hurting anyone. But we don't exist in a vacuum. Especially someone like her who is literally constantly online, talking about her life and even writing books. What I take issue with is the impact this has on young, impressionable women. If they don't have guidance or discernment, they may look at this and think it's something to aspire to. In a culture where visibility and attention are valued above everything, these women end up teaching that using your body is an acceptable path to influence. This brings me to Brittany Renner, who basically followed Kareen's blueprint. She started gaining attention on Instagram, then quickly began dating multiple basketball players. Just like Corinne, she wrote a tell-all book, gained notoriety, and ultimately had a child with PJ Washington. Brittany Renner was never married to PJ Washington. She receives about $5,500 a month in child support. Later on, PJ got engaged, got married, and renewed his contract or signed a bigger one. And that's when Renner tried to get her child support raised to $35,000 a month. People online had a lot to say. Some claimed $5,000 a month is more than enough for a child, while others argued she deserved more. But here's the real issue. If the father chooses not to give a dime more than what the court ordered, he legally doesn't have to. That's the part people don't want to accept. I have a baby mama series on this channel, where I talk about baby mama culture, and honestly, I've had a lot of women unfollow me because they don't agree with my opinion, and that's fine. I've covered Shakira, Drea, and Cardi B so far. In one of those videos, I discussed Cardi B being a baby mama to Stefon Diggs. I'll link it in the description box, check it out. In that video, I explained that a lot of women don't actually care about the kids. They treat the kids as collateral and use them as bargaining chips to get child support. I saw other creators comparing the situation to Diggs' $69 million contract, which is similar to PJ Washington's contract, and saying that Cardi being pregnant by him is fine, because he's wealthy. That is terrible advice, but it reflects the prostitute mindset that a lot of modern women have. They sit at home calculating a man's pockets. First of all, it does not matter how much money he makes. The baby mama is not getting his salary. She's not his wife. Having his baby does not make him financially responsible for her. If PJ Washington only wants to pay Renner $5,000 a month, that's all she's getting. And Diggs doesn't have to give Cardi B whatever she wants either. The court will decide that, not the internet. A baby mama has a child out of wedlock. That child is a bastard child like me. Back in the day, a child born outside of marriage didn't even get the father's name. My last name before I got married was my mother's last name, not my father's. I'm speaking from experience. My father ended up marrying another woman after having 2 daughters with my mother, and they have his last name. Men will always treat kids from their love marriage better. I don't make the rules, it's psychological. So, Cardi will probably get more because she's a celebrity, but most women are not celebrities. Encouraging regular girls to get pregnant by a famous man is horrible advice. Then I heard these creators say you'd get pregnant by some rapper or baller if you could. No, I wouldn't, and I know plenty of women who wouldn't either. Not everybody has a prostitute mindset like you. And let's be honest, famous men are the easiest men to sleep with. There's a reason they all date the same IG models and have babies with the same so-called baddies, because those are the only women willing to do it. They have extremely low standards. All you have to be is halfway decent looking, live in a major city, and be willing to sleep with them without protection. And most of them have STDs because they pass around same women and don't use protection. Look at Renner, she's not even that attractive in my opinion. She's just a willing participant in 304 behavior. Cardi B is the same story. She had a whole bunch of surgeries and still looks strange. Beauty is subjective, but they're not that attractive to me. I'm allowed to have my opinion. Anybody co-signing these kinds of relationships either has dusty baby daddies or a prostitute mindset. End of story. Because why are you willing to prostitute yourself for a child support check? Aren't you worth more than that? Don't you want to be the wife? And I can already hear the deflection. I don't want to be nobody's wife. I want to be independent. Okay, then be independent by yourself. Without the baby. Without the child support check. And quiet as it kept, no one really wants to wife up the slow archetype. Let's keep it a buck.
But guess what? I already could look at Stefon Diggs and tell that he was gay because he sleep around too much. Same thing like with Dwight Howard. When a man sleep around too much and for that long, like I got out the streets at 21 years old. When a man still sleeping around and he now about 30 and then he crossed 30, especially if a man getting hit 40s, 50s, like Shannon Sharp, them men be bisexual, which is basically gay. And they deal with women. And I'm going to tell you what happened with bisexual men. Their standards for women lower. That's why he got Cardi B pregnant. Because Cardi B is not somebody that a man really want to be with. She too loud. She too loud. She too boisterous. She too quirky. She too awkward. It's like a man is not wired to be with a woman like her. Like just the streets raise her. And that's why her relationships never work out, because it's not really, she's not raised to be a wife. She's not raised for a man. Like she raised by the streets. And when you raised by the streets, you end up being for the streets. And a man will try, but then he realized he just can't really relate to you. He realized that he just can't have like a normal homeostasis with you, and that just things just gonna be just always awkward and different and off, and it'll make a man, and because of the stuff that she might know how to do in the bedroom, that also diminishes a man's trust, because now he's not teaching her nothing, he learning from her. And so now when a man get with a woman like that, he can't trust her. And if he can't trust her, guess what? He can't love her. And if he can't love her, then he gonna cheat on her. That's why Offset kept cheating on her. He couldn't trust her. He couldn't love her, so he kept cheating on her. And then that's why they broke up. And then now she get with Stefon Diggs, and because of her own trauma, she get with Stefon Diggs because she is, in a way, retaliating against Offset. And that is the sign of a broken woman. When a woman goes and hurts herself more to hurt a man. If you are a woman listening to this, learn from Cardi B. Never go give your body away to another man that's not your husband.
NBA and NFL players getting, IG models pregnant, OnlyFans chicks pregnant.
Yeah, but they dumb though. Yeah, they dumb though. See, the girls know they can always get a nick that's 2 years into the league. Fresh out of college, come on, man. You know how long these niggas been following these Instagram girls and probably been DMing them, and they probably been left on scene. They get that 100 million, that 200. They got it. They going for gold. Just because they got that money, that don't bypass who they really truly are. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, the ball players want to be rappers. They really want to be. They listen to our going into the arenas, rapping like us. They dressing like us. They, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they get them. They way more greener than getting a rapper. Athletes is the easiest niggas to get. That's why you always see them. You always see them get caught up in shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, God bless them, man.
Now, the chicks that you see, like, on Instagram with a name, 2,500. 2,500 you in them guts. 35, $3,000 to 3,500. Probably give her a complimentary facial with it, too.
I don't care if you want to be a disgusting prostitute, but it is kind of annoying to watch all of these women post seductively pretending that they're all models. Like, this has become the euphemism for a modern day prostitute. I'm a model, an Instagram model. I mean, it's almost an insult to even call yourself an Instagram model. Even if you literally are one, come up with a different term, because there are too many of people like this who are using it.
Y'all didn't know that the vast majority of Instagram models sell box? Y'all gotta wake up, babe. First of all, they're IG models. They're not signed to an agency. And even actual modeling agencies are a gateway into selling box. That's why Kanye released that video about yachting, because even people like Hailey Bieber, even people like Kendall Jenner, and the list goes on and on and on, have been seen on yachts with rich dudes. And they're not all like buddy friends from college. You know what I mean? Like, y'all gotta wake up. What's really getting y'all fucked up and confused is believing that these girls have legit businesses. Oh, I have a link in my bio. Shop at my boutique. Buy hair from my boutique. Or I'm in law school. Or I do real estate. Or I'm da 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 da. Y'all stop. Stop being so naive. Stop believing everything that is told to you. Most of these girls can't even keep a business actually running and profitable past 2 years, let alone 5 years. You know who I'm talking about. Okay? You know why? Because they don't really make money like that. They make money doing other stuff. I'm really going to expose it. Since y'all want to come for me and be like, no, such and so was a lawyer. She's not a lawyer. No actual law student has that kind of free time to post photos all day and to take photo ops and get their hair and makeup professionally done for said photo ops. They're fucking studying. Law school is very, very rigorous. So stop believing what these girls tell you. It's just like the local pharmacist in the neighborhood who runs a car wash, or who just, you know what I'm saying, they own a laundromat, but they're really using it to wash money. Like whoever runs Mattress Firm, they own Mattress Firm, but they really like don't sell enough mattresses to justify having Mattress Firm. Like, there's so much dirty business that's going on all around you, but y'all don't notice it because y'all are asleep. And then when somebody calls you out, you call them a hater. Babe, I'm not a hater because I'm not dumb. Like, my actual day job is working with numbers. I'm not stupid. I know when a bitch is lying. So, no, you're not in law school if you have that kind of free fucking time. You're not running a real profitable boutique if you have all day to wear designer clothes that you don't sell at your boutique, and you're always on vacation, popping bottles, throwing ass on a fucking couch, smoking hookah. Y'all, wake up. People are laundering money, and they make the most money from their box selling business. Wake up.
So in the song Work, Iggy Azalea says, no money, no family, 16 in the middle of Miami, which most of these stars start off by being homeless or having an abusive family or having no one or being on the streets or being involved in sex work really young, such as being a stripper or already being a 304 like Young Miami and the City Girls. A lot of women who are famous were simply just high-level escorts and got into entertainment and whatever else because of their looks and because of men. They were a high-valued escort. So in the video of Work, Iggy Azalea shows these older men in trailers, and it's obvious that they're paying for sex, basically implying that as a teenager she was involved in sex work. She also has a scene where she's in a strip club doing a lap dance and saying, yeah, for Louboutins, whatever. Girls giving head for Louboutins, what you call that? Head over heels, right? So that was also part of it. And then she straight up said, this industry took my innocence, but it's too late, I'm deep in the shit. She said that in the song. This industry took my innocence, but it's too late, I'm too deep in the shit. So of course, she was another one, and she was under T.I., and we all know T.I. and Tiny have many allegations of being traffickers. There's been a lot of women that have come out and silenced with money, but a lot of people have came out, like over 30 people have come out about T.I. and Tiny being sex traffickers. So, but almost every music manager is a sex trafficker. Mariah Carey's music manager, she was very young, and Mariah Carey had a terrible life. Her sister literally did traffic her. Her mother hated her. Her father was not there. All of these superheroes or celebrities have a horrible origin story, which was kind of depicted in the metaverse, right? In Spider-Man. They all come from nothing, which is who PIMPs target. They target girls or boys from abusive homes who don't have parents. So in order, even Mary J. Blige spoke about how she basically had to suck whatever to get to the top. Women do have to sleep their way to getting features on songs, and certain shit will not get done if they don't open their legs to certain people in the industry. It's 100% high-level prostitution and child trafficking as well. All these parents selling their children to Hollywood or abandoning their children, then Hollywood just scoops them up because of their looks or whatever talent. And again, so many women like Amber Rose, like Kim Kardashian. I mean, we can go down the list forever, but Playboy bunnies, Coco. I mean, every woman who was originally a sex worker ends up becoming famous and a celebrity. And sometimes she can be a movie star. Sometimes she could be a rapper. Sometimes she could be a singer. But a lot of these women started out simply as 304s. So Marilyn Monroe, that's all she was. Marilyn Monroe was the biggest, most famous prostitute at the time. The president was paying to sleep with her. That's what it really was about Marilyn Monroe. She was a high-level escort. And she got to act in some movies, like Denise Richards, who was a high-level escort that Charlie Sheen purchased from that famous brothel in Hollywood. So, I mean, a lot of women were just high-level prostitutes, and that's how they got in the entertainment industry. And politics, too.
It's almost like the industry intentionally recruits people with skeletons in their closet on purpose, just in case they ever need leverage. And of course, these would be the very voices that publicly support sex work, pushing an agenda that seeps into young minds and shapes their worldview. This reminds me of Catherine Pies from the Ace family. In her book, she claims that she needed money to move to Miami and buy a car, so she got a job at a strip club, but only for one night, and suddenly a fairy godfather appeared and handed her $10,000, just like that. First night, no work needed, and magically she had the exact money she needed to start her new life.
Recapping chapter 8 of Catherine Pai's new book, Dolores, and this is where she talks about how she was able to move to Miami. So this is the stripper story of how she was a stripper for one day and was able to make $10,000 so that she could move to Miami. Basically, she starts talking to him, realizes that he's a regular, knows everyone there, and then he asks her if she's hungry, and she says yes, and then he says, all right, let's go upstairs, and you can order whatever you want. They order food, and as they're eating, they're talking, and he basically wants to know everything about her. So she ends up telling him everything, how she's been financially struggling, how her mom's been financially struggling, how she wants to buy her mom's car for $5,000, and how she wants to pay off her debt and move to Miami. As she's talking to him, she's anxious because she sees the monitor and she sees that she's almost up for dancing on the stage. He notices, and she's honest with him, and she tells him, I have to go on stage soon, but I really don't want to do this. He says, I'll be right back. He goes downstairs, and then he comes back up and he says, you don't have to worry about that anymore. I just bought you off stage. The gratitude that she had towards him, it was unexplainable. She didn't know why he was doing what he was doing, but he was being really nice to her. And then right before he said he had to go, he hands her a voucher of $5,000, and he said, this is so you can buy your mom's car. And she thought, okay, like, what am I gonna have to do, or what am I gonna owe you for this? And he said, just meet me tomorrow at 10 p.m. by the bar. So the next day she meets him, and then he gives her another voucher for $5,000, and he says, this is for you to be able to pay off your debt and move to Miami. And then he says, the only thing I want you to do is to promise me that you'll watch the movie Pay It Forward and one day pay it forward. And that was how she was able to move to Miami.
A fairy tale, or the kind of story people tell when there's a lot more going on behind the scenes.
I had no idea that Catherine McBroom, the mom from the family YouTube channel, The Ace Family, and Chantel Jeffries, who is a model and Diplo's ex-girlfriend, got their start on social media from being in a group called Taz's Angels. So this is Taz and some of the angels, and apparently this man basically rented out a mansion in Miami and filled it up with young, beautiful women, and they would post really provocative things on Snapchat and Instagram of them partying and making out with each other and all that stuff. Viewers on social media just thought this was like a party house with all these beautiful women, but when you step back and look at it, this man, and I'm not going to call him a pimp, but if he was trying to look like a pimp, he's doing a real good job. But in reality, allegedly, these women were being pimped out by Taz to famous rappers. Allegedly, rappers would contact Taz and hire a girl for whatever reason they were needing, events or whatever, and Taz would send the girl to spend time with the rapper, and then they would come back to the house in Miami and just do it all over again. And apparently Taz at one point was under investigation by the FBI for sex trafficking. Taz's Angels would regularly be partying with celebrities such as Kylie Jenner and Hailey Baldwin, even though they were like 16 years old at this point. This is one of the Taz's Angels giving Beyonce a lap dance, so they were very heavily involved with well-known celebrities. Some of you may recognize Demi Rose. She's like always on the Daily Mail, and she is ex-girlfriend of Tyga. She also got her start online as one of Taz's Angels. Catherine McBroom was also one of Taz's Angels, which is apparently how she got into contact and started talking with Michael B. Jordan. Chantel Jeffries was also really involved in Taz's Angels, and she also dated Justin Bieber for a small point of time, and she has also dated Diplo, like I said. And this girl over here, I'm blanking on her last name, but this is Jenna. She's Jason Derulo's baby mama. She was also a Taz's Angel. And apparently Amber Rose was also one of Taz's Angels, and she went on to have a child with Wiz Khalifa. I guess I just never knew how these people got their start, but I guess it was because of Taz and his alleged sex trafficking operation. But that's not all that Taz and his angels were up to.
So Michael Williams, aka Taz, is a music producer who created Taz's Angels. Taz has referred to himself as the Black Hugh Hefner, and if that doesn't tell you that the bar for his morality is in hell, I don't know what will. Taz turned what appeared to be a zygote version of a content house that we would see today, mixed with something much more sinister. Please keep in mind that there are certain things that I really have to censor myself on this app, so please bear with me as we discuss this topic further. Some of Taz's Angels included obviously Catherine McBroom, her friend Chantel Jeffries, as well as Jenna Frooms, Ashley Martell, just to name a few. There was a lot of different girls who would be in the Taz's Angels mix. But despite the thousands of views they garnered every single day on their Snapchat, Taz's Angels would not be in existence for very long at all. Taz was investigated by the FBI for human blanking. Taz was basically being a PIMP. He was being the middleman to connect these very young, beautiful girls with celebrities and well-known athletes. Allegedly, Justin Bieber became close with Chantel and Catherine through Taz. It has also been speculated that Catherine McBroom's short relationship with Michael B. Jordan was arranged through Taz's Angels.
Girl, I had to find out. So I had like a stripper friend. So when I was younger, I didn't know strippers were strippers. Because I was dancing for designer at the time. I was like 17, 18. Right. I was dancing for designer at the time. When we were in strip clubs, I was so oblivious to what it was. I just thought they were girls in bikinis. I was just so oblivious of what was going on. I was so innocent.
Right.
So I had one stripper friend. She would always go to Dubai. And when she come back I always love her going to Dubai, because when she come back from Dubai, she buying me hair. She getting my nails done. We going out to eat. I never knew, girl, they getting pissed on in Dubai. Right? So I'm like, I said, let me come to Dubai with you. I don't want to come. Like, you seem like you always having fun. She's like, no, like, you don't have to go. I'm going to go, because she knew I was innocent. She didn't know I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
She was like, no, you don't have to come to stand the third. And then she was like, come to me. There's like a secret place. So in the city, there's these secret clubs that like people with crazy kinks and fetishes go to. Yes. And it's like in the city, you would not know. Like, it looked like it's closed down, or it looks like a little mini garage. Hell yeah. She brought me to one of these stuffs. I've seen like a gay guy put like a liquor bottle of it and piss on people. Yes, and they pay a lot of money for that. They pay a lot of money for that. Yeah. I know.
And you say
I was exposed to that so
oh, that's not good.
yeah.
That's not good.
I was like, yo, is he peeing on them? She was like, yeah, they paid like $10,000 to get pissed on. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a whole stage. And it's like acts, different kinky acts.
I had a guy tell me, I want you to come to Dubai and
Come to
I
Dubai.
want you to shit on me. Like mad crazy stuff. And then we offer me a bag, like 50s,
I'm saying,
100K.
so girls is really getting shitted on out here though.
There's a lot of girls that go to Dubai for that.
To get shitted on.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I thought that was fake.
No, that's a real thing. I know a lot of girls, but just like I said, like I don't judge nobody.
We listen and we don't judge. I'm judging though. I've been to Dubai. You've been to Dookie. But bitch, you've been posting Dubai trips for the last 6 months. When is you at work?
Open your mouth like this. You lie down. You lie down like this. And then you open your mouth. And then you do their ass like this and shit in your mouth. Their dogs will shit in your mouth. And then you have to eat. You have to eat the poo-poo. Yes.
Cooking with Kaya going to Dubai, even if it is to get shitted on, is really not a bad thing as everyone wants it to be. You see, I think the patriarchy has convinced everyone that sex work, especially with women, is something to be frowned upon.
I'm redoing this video because I didn't make it clear in the first one. We do not know if Cooking with Kaya went to Dubai to be used as a toilet. Generally speaking, why are we trying to normalize a woman getting on a plane, flying to Dubai, meeting a man that she barely knows, laying on her back, and having this man use her as a toilet. I don't care how low you are in life, how low your self-esteem is, how desperate you are for money. If you allow someone to use you as a toilet, there is something wrong with you. Another point that he made, saying that there are men out there that are willing to pay women to do these things to them, which that is a part of the problem. But ultimately, if you as a woman decide to do that, that's on you.
Black women getting flued out to Dubai.
This is a problem globally.
Men promising them a better life, a job, money, stability.
It's my sister.
But what they really got was something unimaginable.
This one client, he books on dolls.
Many of them tricked into illegal prostitution, some men allegedly paying to defecate on them.
That has been happening for years.
This ain't something a normal human being, rather a whole nation craves on.
Social media calling it Dubai porta potty.
This, by far, has been the most difficult investigation of my career.
A secret industry this BBC journalist had no idea was happening until she threw on a wig, and she and her team, they went undercover to find the man reportedly behind it.
It really to enjoy how this works.
What types of women were they looking for?
Young women.
Two of the alleged victims now at the center of an international investigation. Both of them, they died mysteriously after falling from high-rise buildings in Dubai.
There's a feeling that these cases are not being investigated properly because they're young, Black, African women.
I'm Justin Carter, and this is TSR Investigate.
Dubai porta potty is the idea that influencers are being flown to Dubai to satisfy a particular fetish of men over there, wealthy men in particular. And that's the fetish of being defecated on, or the reverse.
What you're about to hear and see, it's despicable and it's graphic, but BBC investigative journalist and producer Selena knew she had to do something about it. She says about 3 years ago, she noticed the hashtag Dubai Porta Potty. It was floating around on TikTok with about 450 million views attached to it. It was gaining so much traction, partly because of a video that surfaced of somebody participating in lewd acts with men in Dubai, many identifying the woman in the video as 23-year-old influencer and model Monica Karungi. But it turned out it wasn't Monica in that video. All of this, though, reportedly led to Monica falling from a high-rise building in Dubai not long after. And the gag is the same exact thing happened to another woman 1 year earlier.
The whole process was incredibly nerve-wracking.
It was a 2.5-year-long investigation. Selena shocked that so many content creators were speaking on Monica Karungi's death.
Became enthralled with the glitz and glamour of becoming an influencer.
Is this what it's come down to for a Birkin bag?
Do they do Dubai porta potty stuff as well? Or no? I've told you, they are open-minded. When I say open-minded, and I will send you the craziest I have.
Meet the boss of a sex ring in Dubai, Charles Mwesigwa, also known as Abby. Some Ugandan women told us they believed they were travelling to the UAE for jobs, but ended up trapped doing sex work for Abby. BBC Eye Investigations has tracked him down in Dubai.
Heard so much about you.
We go undercover to corroborate what sources have told us, posing as an events organiser for high net worth individuals looking for women to come to their parties.
So you have to tell me which girls you want. We've got like 25 girls. They'll do whatever, like many are open-minded. What's the normal price? Starts from at least 1K. Where are you from? I'm West London. West London? I was a bus driver in the UK. No. Oh, in East London.
His driving licence confirms that he is indeed Charles Mwesigwa. So why did he go from that to running a sex ring in Dubai?
I look at clubs. I look at pretty much options like that, of black girls. Yeah. So there could be some kind of market for black girls. I could win lottery, £1 million, but I'll still do it because like I enjoy. It's become part of me.
Abby denies the allegations, saying he helps women find accommodation through landlords, and that women follow him to parties because of his wealthy Dubai contacts.
And recently, Maria went missing in Dubai for a week and was found days later on a roadside in Dubai with a broken spine and other broken limbs. So Maria is an OF model And a lot of people have spoken out after this, saying that they believe that Maria was invited to an elite party in Dubai. There have been lots of women that have shared their stories about these parties online, and they are incredibly disturbing stories, to say the least. The most disturbing of these parties are called porta potty parties. And essentially, women are flown into the country from all across the world. They are paid exorbitant amounts of money, and these very rich men, the elite members of society in the UAE, are allowed to defecate and urinate on these women, in these women, and even in their mouths. Other women who have witnessed some of these parties and attended them claim that girls are sometimes strung up on meat hooks, literally like something out of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And they claim that then the women are beaten while they're hanging on the hook for the gratification of the abuser. Before she went missing, Maria told her mother that she had been staying with 2 men that were involved in the modeling business. But according to officials in Dubai, they claim that Maria stumbled into an empty construction site and somehow fell from a piece of construction equipment, which we all obviously know is not true. And it goes to show time and time again that these people, these elite members of society, they can really buy or have anything in the world. If they want to have a porta potty party, they can pay for one and they can have one. And they're always above the law. I mean, activities like that would definitely be highly illegal in the UAE. And yet we hear stories of these things happening all the time. And these stories are literally straight out of horror movies like Hostel.
There's a scary story trending on French TikTok right now. It's about this young girl called Fadila. She was 21 years old. Now, she was in Paris where she met these rich, wealthy people who told her they live in Dubai and they invited her to go over there. They said to her everything will be paid for, flight, accommodation, all expenses, everything included. So she couldn't actually believe her luck and she decided to accept this. She went there and she made it. She couldn't believe this accommodation she had was so beautiful, 5-star. She just couldn't believe all of this was for free. You know, these people were not asking her for anything. So one night they were all drinking and dancing with her in this apartment she was staying in. And then allegedly they dragged her. So she woke up in the bathroom the next morning. She didn't know how she got there and she couldn't believe that she was sleeping in the bathroom. Now, when she checked in the mirror, she saw this huge bandage on her. So she checked under this bandage and she could not believe what she saw. There was a cut. She's been cut open. So she went back home to France and she went straight to her doctor. When the doctor checked this, they could not believe it. Her kidney was missing. Yeah, they removed her kidney.
Besides the trauma itself, the scariest part of international sex work is the risk of being unalived or trafficked for organ harvesting, an underground industry far bigger than most people realize. Some women in modeling and escort circles are even coerced into arrangements involving blood or organ harvesting. And that brings me to Peter Nygaard.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go ahead and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful to use this?
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
$100? Monkey.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for the wherever I bid, he's going to outbid me. I bought about $60,000 with eggs. Yeah. If you have abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, and placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody else, and life for mankind. The best things are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best things. As you get older, your age gets weaker and weaker.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So you may not be our
No, that's fine. I think that was my business anyway.
Cloning yourself with.
I just thought it was some old guy who just liked a lot of girls around. But ultimately, there were some really interesting stories about abortions. Can you explain that?
He was obsessed, Peter Nygaard was, with stem cell research and anything that he could get his hands on to preserve his health and youth and to create longevity. And according to many people involved in the investigation, he actually would impregnate underage girls, have them get abortions, and then harvest the stem cells of the fetuses to inject in himself under the belief that it would be more beneficial than random stem cells from another source. And that he would go to China and other countries to learn how to do this and have it done. And the underage aspect of this was, a big part of the investigation too. But that's part of it. That's how far he would allegedly go to extend his life and his lifestyle.
Well, he's 79 years old right now. So he felt that injecting stem cells from aborted fetuses from women that he impregnated himself would somehow keep him alive longer.
Correct.
And he kept doing that over and over again.
He did a lot of things. I mean, this is a guy, Vlad, who is being investigated for sexual assault going back 5 decades, involving potentially thousands of women in Canada, in California, in the Bahamas, where he had a compound, where he would routinely, according to witnesses, take underage girls, drug them, get them drunk, seduce them, and rape them in a most vile and vicious fashion. And we went down to the Bahamas, it's been a year now, and interviewed a lot of the victims, the survivors, and some of the people who were witnesses. And he was able to get away with this for so long because of wealth and corruption and a sense of impunity like I've never seen. And I've covered a lot of criminal cases in 40 years.
Right, because he's worth $900 million.
Correct.
He's got a fashion empire.
Correct.
And I guess he has a big compound in the Bahamas.
It's amazing.
You've heard of Epstein, but what if I told you there's another monster lurking in the shadows of the fashion world? A man who built an empire on luxury while hiding a horrifying truth. Let's talk about Peter Nygaard. This video is made for entertainment purposes only. For decades, Peter Nygaard was seen as a self-made billionaire, the so-called king of polyester. He built a fashion empire, but behind the designer clothes and lavish parties was something much darker. An alleged web of abuse, human trafficking, and even disturbing experiments. Witnesses claim that his Bahamas estate, known as Nygaard K, wasn't just a mansion, it was a fortress of horrors. Some even called it a real-life horror movie. Former employees and victims describe underground rooms, locked doors, and a private clinic where Nygaard reportedly funded controversial anti-aging research using human stem cells. Here's where it gets even creepier. Some believe Nygaard wasn't just obsessed with youth, he was desperate to reverse aging at any cost. Reports suggest he sought out secret treatments, claiming he could live forever by harvesting stem cells from young women. And those women, many were allegedly brought in against their will. In 2019, the walls started to crumble. The FBI raided his properties. Survivors spoke out. Lawsuits piled up. And in 2020, Nygaard was arrested, charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and horrific crimes that spanned decades. But here's the question. How did he get away with it for so long?
This is Peter Nygaard, and this is his Instagram model girlfriend. She was his madame. It was rumored that Peter Nygaard's madames helped traffic more younger girls that he could do this to. In this screen recording, let me get down here. This is free on Google. I researched Peter Nygaard's girlfriends, Pamela Anderson, there's a couple models, Anna Nicole Smith. He was never mentioned in her documentary. There's a bunch of models. There's some political figures, some musicians. You know how it goes. Here's the rest of them. Oh, isn't that 50 Cent sex?
Peter Nygaard used to be one of my #1 clients. And why some girl, she's really famous and pretty too. Like this girl on TikTok willingly had him as her sugar daddy. Willingly! And whenever I say willingly, like, you just don't know this guy. He's the most scariest, creepiest, freakiest man I've ever met in my entire life. Yes, he has a shit ton of money, but the things he's gonna do to you in return for giving you that money is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. It got to the point where every girl in the club would refuse to dance for him. We would all go hide from him when he would come in the building because he was so freaking insane. And I'm not against having a sugar daddy at all, but one as crazy as Peter, I'm just like, how did this girl agree to be his sugar baby? Like, I know what that involves. And if I couldn't handle hanging out with him for a few hours, because it got worse every time, progressively worse. Like, the things he would do to you was absolutely insane. Like, he locked one of my friends up in a dog cage and kept her chained up in this dog cage for 3 days. He would not let her leave. He kept another girl that I know and dance with literally tied up. This man would progressively get worse and more dangerous. And he would literally tell you if you quit seeing him, he was gonna alive you. He scared me. I've met a lot of people, and he is one person that really, really terrified me. I ended up quitting working at this club that he would come to because I was so afraid of him. And he would be like, you are not allowed to tell me no. And all of us were like, we don't want to be. Like, none of us would willingly be his sugar baby because, I mean, he was so crazy. And yes, after we went and hung out at his house one time willingly, we never went again. And, you know, he would pay us $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, lots of money. So for us to not even want that money, he had to be pretty fucking insane. Me and the girls have vowed to never talk about this guy because he's so scary, and we did all sign an NDA, but now he's in jail. But I still value my life, and he's the type of guy that could just make you disappear. And we all have a bunch of crazy, terrifying stories that happen with him. And I just couldn't believe it whenever I saw that this really beautiful influencer willingly had him as her sugar daddy, and she liked him. I'm just like, baby, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Because I know how he is. I know the things that he does to girls. At the end of the day, I'm sure it was just the money, you know, and she's probably set up for life, but some money just isn't worth losing your life over it and being physically abused by this guy. And it's not just physical, it's mental too. And I feel like now she's gonna be tied to him forever. And he's one scary ass fucking dude. And as much as I love money, I don't think I could do that. I just don't see the benefit in it. I mean, yeah, the money's good, but girl, if he decides he's pissed off at you or he wants you while he's in jail, he's gonna send somebody to snatch you up. And that is what's terrifying.
Who is Brianna Olsen? She is a 26-year-old girl who blew up on TikTok from doing skits. She moved to LA, where she got into the business of escorting, if you know what I mean. She then started dating another TikToker named 2K, and they had a baby named Winter. 2K and Bree, both being live streamers on TikTok and having a following, went into a custody battle only 3 days after Bree gave birth, where it became very messy and broadcasted for the world to see. Bree was also a Fashion Nova model and is also known for hanging out with Ashley Trevina in that whole era. Valet became known as the backseat girl whenever they all hung out one night. So now Bree and her 2 managers and Valet all live in a content home in LA with Santos. Santos is also the guy who made a song with Ashley Trevino about "You Want to Know How It Smells." Ask Santos. He know it smell well. A lot of people think that Brie is really young, but she's pushing 30. She is from Texas, but moved to LA and Florida. She goes to court really soon for the custody of her son, who is now residing with 2K and his mother.
What'd you say?
We're going to these like weird islands and shit.
Weird? We were about to go to the Bahamas. What do you mean weird?
Yeah, but I'm not going on some like, pedo island with Peter.
I never went to Peter's Island. I swear to God. I swear to God.
You spent all this time with him, you went to the Bahamas, and you never went to his island.
I didn't spend all this time with him. I only knew him for a year. And it was when he was older. It was in 2019, so he was already like not chartering jets with models on them to the Bahamas. That's when he was younger. I met him when he was older.
Picture this girl took of me. And look, the guys are like sitting behind at the poker table. What's the date on this? November 10th, 2019. Look. Oh, wait. November 10th, 2019. If you can find pictures inside of Peter's house before he got arrested, this was his Marina Del Rey house on the beach. And I was talking to this Asian lady, and she was so nice to me. And she was like, I have all this designer stuff. Like, if you ever want anything, you can just come, like, shop. And it was so weird. And I was like, I love your jacket. And she put her jacket on me. This is a Louis Vuitton jacket. And I was like, I love it. And she...
Well, you're living proof of everything you say. Look at you.
Yeah. This is what I call the prostitute mindset. And men have it too, honestly. It's even worse. You should see how men act around wealthy men. They forget all common sense and start dancing on their hind legs like court jesters. Look at what he says here.
Well, you're living proof of everything you say. Look at you.
Yeah. No, I have actually reversed my aging in the last 4 years.
Because what do you mean he's living proof his research is working? He's giving Bram Stoker's novel character. He looks hideous. He looks like he's ready to die. All that evil shit he did just to look like a Dracula is crazy work.
That's this medical science behind it as well. They use my numbers in medical conventions, before and after.
You and your children are changing the whole world.
My children,
Really?
Yeah. No, it could be a little contribution to changing, but it's personal quest. I just want to personally make sure that I do everything possible to keep myself alive, everything possible to keep myself healthy. I want to do preventive medicine. And then I start discovering more and more about it, and I start being a leading edge on this stuff. I have taken more stem cells today than anybody else in the world. Mesenchymal stem cells,
Wow.
And it works.
Yay, hardly. He looks like death. But stem cells do work, just not on him. And he was definitely getting them unethically, allegedly. And the fact that most people were comparing him to Jeffrey Epstein says a lot. Epstein was allegedly a government asset, a plant put in position to get powerful men into compromising situations so they could be blackmailed later. It's one of the bulletproof blueprints that's been used for ages. It allegedly started with Hefner, then Epstein, then Diddy, and of course there are others.
Ghislaine said, "Oh my God, who's that?" And my friend said, "Yeah, she's called Paris Hilton." And Ghislaine said, "Oh, God, she'd be perfect for Jeffrey. Could you introduce us?"
So Paris is in the middle of a dumpster fire right now. The new Epstein leaks that everyone has been talking about? Well, this time the emails included unseen footage from Epstein's island, which starred none other than Paris. Turns out that she wasn't simply the eye candy at these lavish and seriously disturbed parties. She was the party favor, one of the many girls being turned out by Epstein. Now Paris is pissed. She's denying the rumors left and right. But the thing is, no one's ready to believe her. See, Paris has been rumored to be one of Epstein's girls for the longest time. There are client lists going around with her name on them. More importantly, there's the fact that her parents actually knew Epstein himself. Remember Rick Hilton, Paris's father? Well, according to Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's accusers, she serviced Rick himself at one of Epstein's parties, the same year she did a Prince. Apparently, Jeffrey loaned her out for a night to Rick himself. So if Rick was that close with Epstein, there's a high chance Paris got tangled up with him as well. Besides, Rick was in the business of making money and climbing the social ladder. So pushing his daughter to work for Epstein seems like the perfect move to secure his future. In fact, according to one insider featured on the Prime documentary Surviving Epstein, when Paris was only 19 years old, she actually caught Ghislaine's eye at a party during New York Fashion Week.
Ghislaine said, "Oh my God, who's that?" And my friend said, "Yeah, she's called Paris Hilton." And Ghislaine said, "Oh God, God, she'd be perfect for Jeffrey. Could you introduce us?
Now here's where things get interesting. According to various reports, Paris got pulled into Epstein's world after that meeting, but Paris is not owning up to it. In fact, she told the London Times recently that she doesn't even remember meeting Ghislaine. But there's just one problem. There's simply too much evidence for fans to believe Paris. For starters, she has actually been photographed smiling next to Ghislaine like they were old pals. So how can she go around saying that she's never met the woman? Well, here's what experts think. They believe that Paris is actually telling the truth about not remembering having met Ghislaine. As some of you might remember, Paris was big on partying back then.
Is it working?
Now it's working, yeah.
Hey Gunther, what's up? It's Paris. I miss you, and I'm at my party right now in Malibu, and all my friends are drinking the rich Prosecco. Everyone loves the Royale the best. I love the passion fruit, but all my friends really love the Royale.
She was doing every substance known to mankind. Of course, she might not remember every detail of her life. On top of that, there's another thing everyone needs to understand. Ghislaine Maxwell is only one piece of the puzzle. Paris has been spotted with others in Epstein's network as well. Remember Rachel Chandler? Yeah, well, she was also one of Epstein's procurers. Homegirl had ties with the MC2 Model Management, which was founded by Jean-Luc Brunel, who, get this, was named as one of Epstein's co-conspirators. Safe to say, a young girl like Paris was really not safe anywhere near Rachel. And yet, despite that, Rachel was still allowed near her. There are pictures of the two together. So first, it was Ghislaine Maxwell, and now it's Rachel. One can be a coincidence, but being spotted with two of Epstein's procurers, now that just sets things in stone. That's exactly why, even if the Epstein files don't name-drop Paris directly, there's enough evidence to suggest that Paris was one of his party favors. Besides, the way Paris's life has played out makes the theory entirely believable as well. For starters, there's the fact that after Epstein and Ghislaine, Paris became a madame as well. She would set up girls to be used, get them hooked on substances, and let them be used by men. And if you find that hard to believe, remember Mark Ebner, the American journalist and New York Times best-selling author? Well, a couple of years ago, he broke a story about a madam named Nishi who had close ties with Paris. Apparently, they sold off a lot of struggling actresses and used up Play Bunny types. What's worse, there have been reports about Paris turning out Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan as well. If you remember, these girls were close back in the day.
There we go.
But then they started hanging out less, and well, here's one insider's take on the situation. I'm sure it's been said and said again, but I heard about this years ago and thought it was open knowledge. They've been said that Paris turns her friends out, Lilo and Brit. I know in my heart poor Brit is a good spirit. She couldn't take being used and used by a devil like Paris. I believe it was Paris that somehow influenced Brit to take that crotch shot when she was getting out the car with Lilo and Paris. I think at that point in time, Paris and Lilo's crotch shots had already been released. It was Brit's turn. I think Brit may come from abuse. I think her parents are broken, but not all evil. And honestly, if that's true, it makes a lot of sense why Paris is hell-bent on denying her connection to Epstein and Ghislaine. Because if she admits to the mistreatment at their hands, chances are the authorities are going to dig deeper, and that'll turn the tables for her and not in a good way. But let's be real. Paris has paid the price for her actions in one way or another. Yeah, that's right. In recent years, Paris has actually opened up about how her life wasn't as glamorous as everyone imagined it to be. She was intoxicated all the time, which left her with issues like addiction and insomnia. Not to mention, she was being passed around constantly, which ruined her mental health.
Cartoon. But the thing is, I don't even give a about any of these things. I've hardly worn any of these shoes.
It emotionally, physically abused me.
What's interesting is that Paris also talked about being asexual in her 20s. She told Harper's Bazaar magazine that she didn't really care about bedroom activities. I was known as a S symbol, but anything sensual terrified me. And to be honest, that sounds like someone who's seen their fair share of trauma in the intimacy department. At the end of the day, Paris Hilton can deny the Epstein rumors all she wants, but the internet isn't buying it. Not when the receipts, connections, and resurfaced footage paint a very different picture. From her parents' alleged ties to Ghislaine handpicking her, to Rachel Chandler and other Epstein associates circling her for years, the pattern is impossible to ignore. And while Paris insists she remembers nothing, fans think that's exactly the point. Too much trauma, too many substances, and too many powerful people pulling strings behind the scenes.
In Epstein's case, it wasn't just Ghislaine Maxwell recruiting girls in Florida, because in New York, many of Epstein's survivors were introduced to him through other girls. When you're being groomed, you don't realize what's happening. For me, it wasn't until many years later, after Jeffrey's death, that I began meeting other survivors. So many of us have been trafficked under the guise of auditions, where we were excited flying to LA to meet big directors or producers. Only later did we realize that so many of us had been sent to the same men at the same time for the same roles. And each of these auditions ended up in the same way, with sexual advances, unwanted touching, and outright assaults. As I shared my full story in court hearings and depositions, the bigger picture started to unfold. The same Hollywood names kept resurfacing, and only then did we realize the vast web that Epstein had built, not just for himself, for many, many other powerful men.
Some actresses and models are recruiters for trafficking operations in the entertainment industry. I say this as someone who works in entertainment and lived in Hollywood and you can even find articles about a certain disgraced actress now who was allegedly involved in this, as well as photos. Yeah, there are full articles that went out about this. But I will also tell you that this happens at all different levels. There are people who are newer to the industry and at a low level who are also doing this, and it does sometimes allow them to gain access to these higher circles and acceptance and things like that. It's horrendous. It should never be happening, but you need to have your eyes wide open at all times with men and women and whomever you may meet. And just know that a lot of these actresses and models and other people in the entertainment industry do not have the clean past that you might think they have. A lot of people have woken up to that.
What does one of the world's most famous supermodels have to do with Vladimir Putin, Ghislaine Maxwell, African warlords, Nelson Mandela, Venezuelan dictators, and more? Since the start of Naomi Campbell's runway career, she's been infiltrating the shadiest parts of the 1%. This is a Russian oligarch, and this is the house that he built for her on a private island for her 41st birthday. This is a photo of 13-year-old Virginia Giuffres, who was one of the victims of Epstein and Ghislaine's trafficking ring. And on her Facebook page, she calls Diddy her brother. She has a weird track record of calling some of these shady men her brothers, dads, and grandfathers. We'll get more into that in a second. But her and Diddy, as you can see in 2018, were more inseparable than I had realized. And various young models have accused Naomi and Weinstein of working hand in hand to traffic them into orgies underage. She referred to Nelson Mandela as her grandfather, and he called her his honorary granddaughter. Now, that would be so wholesome if she also wasn't friends with Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chavez, who stole billions of dollars from the Venezuelan people, committed a variety of human rights abuses, and friends with Libyan warlord Charles Taylor, who forced thousands of children to serve as sex slaves. Look it up. And again, hanging with people like Putin. I mean, just look at the way she's eyeing little 13-year-old Virginia Giuffres, who was literally trafficked in this photo. And at the height of Diddy's partying era, the two were inseparable. I just find it really hard to believe that after seeing all this, Naomi Campbell hasn't been supporting all of this. And after reading about the real-life story of the child trafficking ring seen in Sound of Freedom, I just can't help but wonder if the woman in that movie who was a fashion model that was trafficking the children with high connections in the fashion industry was hinting at something a little bit worse.
Okay, so what do we know so far about Jeffrey Epstein? Tomorrow we'll jump back into the Jeffrey Epstein's files, but already, what do we know? Well, we know that his money's very mysterious, and that once he got this money quite mysteriously, his interests were spread amongst businesses that allowed for him to traffic young women. Okay, we covered this already, but Jeffrey Epstein injected a ton of cash into MC2 Modeling. Okay, that was a modeling firm that was owned by Jean-Luc Brunel. French guy. And all of a sudden, after this cash injection from Jeffrey Epstein, MC2 Modeling hits the mainstream in a big way, right? They're signing client deals with Nordstrom, Macy's, Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, JCPenney, Kohl's Corporation, the Target Corporation, Sears, you name it, right? And Virginia Roberts Giuffre, right, the Epstein accuser that spoke out, would later allege in her 2014 testimony that MC2 was actually a front for sex trafficking. So he was injecting cash because he was allowed to move minors through that business. She alleged that she herself was trafficked as a minor to Jean-Luc Brunel, okay? Jean-Luc Brunel created other agencies. The One Mother Agency in Kiev, Ukraine, As we already know, the Jeffrey Epstein story, for some reason, modern day Ukraine has a lot to do with it. Robert Maxwell. Now, the interesting part is that we know that Jean-Luc Brunel, just like Robert Maxwell, just like Jeffrey Epstein, had a very conveniently timed death, okay? In December of 2020, he was charged with the rape of minors, but he committed suicide before he could actually stand trial. And you're not going to believe it, guys. This was after Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. This guy does the exact same thing. You would think, since he was connected to Jeffrey Epstein, that they would maybe not leave extra bed sheets around that he could hang himself with, but they did it again. And Jean-Luc Brunel hung himself with a bunch of bed sheets. Okay, so we'll park that aside. Similarly, we also know that Jeffrey Epstein was casting women inappropriately, pretending to be a cast director for Victoria's Secret models. Now, that's also interesting that Les Wexner gave him the keys to all of his businesses. And like we explained in an earlier episode, the executives of these companies were complaining to no avail that Jeffrey Epstein was just ingratiating himself as some sort of casting director so that he could have access to young women.
It's a me, Marcus. You are there for the purpose of somebody wanting to take you home to bed. He is acting as a matchmaker. He's got the agency. He's got the girls. His friends say, oh, Jean-Luc, I'd like to meet some girls, or we're having a party tonight. Can you bring some girls?
And what happens if you say no?
You don't work.
Well, you've actually known, be very careful on this, you actually have known that he has made someone pay a professional penalty for saying no.
I know, I paid a penalty for saying no. No. I was personally proposed to by himself, Jean-Luc, and I said, no way. I laughed in his face, and I had no more appointments, and I never worked.
What about the fact that people say when you come over here, you've come over knowing what you're getting into? I mean, everyone knows.
How can you know what you're getting into? How can you know what you're getting into? This is like a foreign country, you know? I mean, I'm from Florida, little city, Pompano Beach, you know? I mean, come on. How am I going to know what goes on in Paris, you know, or Milan? I mean, I don't even speak the language. I don't know anyone, you know? I'm in a new environment, you know? I don't know anyone. I have to trust the people that I come over here with. I mean, I'm naive, I'm young.
A lot of these bigwigs at the agencies literally have a scale where in this hand they have your career and in this hand they have what they want. And your career can go up if they get what they want. If they don't get it, your career goes down.
But I tell you, the modeling industry is just so nuts. Like, and it's normalized. In the modeling industry, nightlife industry, it is normalized to do this type of stuff. Escorts are normal. Dating older men is normal. A lot of them will be mistresses just for money. Yeah.
Explain that a little bit, how you live before you started modeling. Explain how you guys live. You don't want to.
It wasn't really good, so.
It wasn't good. It wasn't. Do you think it's a dangerous world, fashion world, for a 14-year-old?
A lot of models come from impoverished situations, and when modeling or escorting feels like their only escape, they stay silent and tolerate things they shouldn't, just to survive.
So modeling agencies straight up traffic people. So I did a video about how Kendrick Lamar essentially exposed Epstein's list through all his Easter eggs and Not Like Us. The rabbit hole goes deep, and honestly, just follow the modeling agencies, who started them and who invested in them. Hidden messages circle primarily around Mila Jovovich. She began her modeling career at age 11 when she was discovered by Jean-Luc Brunel. Jeffrey Epstein's clientele are in Hollywood. A lot of the directors were literally in front of our eyes. Jean-Luc Brunel was a talent scout who was banned from his European agency for suspected abuse, and the stories are just horrific. I mean, the girls told it all. After he was banned, he of course fled to the US and starts his own agency with funding help from no other than Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, 20 years later, Brunel was arrested, accused of rape and trafficking minors to Jeffrey Epstein. Then he was found unalived in a similar fashion as Epstein, but their clientele is right in front of our eyes. Let's circle back to Mila Jovovich and let's look at her breakout role, which of course was her role in Fifth Element, directed by Luc Besson. This man had a relationship and impregnated his 15-year-old girlfriend, besides for like 10 other victims coming forward against him, who later ends up having one of the most successful careers in Hollywood. Then went on to marry Mila. But also you have to look at his other films, including this one, It was super controversial for literally being PDF corn. Are you seeing a connection? Like, everything is in front of our eyes. And who does he cast in Leon the Professional? Natalie Portman. 12-year-old Natalie Portman. The 15-year-old that he impregnated and met when she was like 12 years old, and he was almost 30. She, by the way, stated that this film was based on their relationship, so yeah. When also her parents let her do the film because Luc Besson agreed to remove more explicit scenes, like with nudity with a child. But then there was like also extended cut scenes. The character Matilda, played by Natalie Portman, 12-year-old Natalie Portman, attempts to seduce Leon. And then on film scenes, which their relationship does turn physical, which Luc Besson had to cut out for Natalie Portman to be a part of the movie. Also, Fifth Element, Bruce Willis was 42 years old, and Mila just turned 20. So, if you look at every child actress, they all had agents, they were all models, yeah. And all these kids were just supplied to them. I've gotten a lot of DMs about elite model management. It's sickening what they do. Essentially, they traffic young girls, and then the girls owe them a lot of debt. They rack up charges. And these girls have no rights, period. I also think that like Mila Kunis being such a young actress and model, essentially a kid when she started that 70s show, and then having Ashton and then this diabolical fuck say all these creepy shit about Mila Kunis as a kid. I mean, yeah. Just look at who had modeling agencies, where the funding came from, who these teens kids were supplied to.
In 2001, one of the most sought-after models in the world goes on a talk show. She, Karen Mulder, frantically starts name-dropping everyone that had either assaulted her or sold her to be assaulted. This list would include royalty, politicians, cops, and her own family. But before she'd be done getting through that list, she'd be taken off the stage and eventually put into a psych ward, paid for by the very person she claimed started selling her in the first place. Her agent and owner of Elite Paris, the man who signed her at just 15 years old, Gerald Marie, who, by the way, would be prosecuted years later with an insurmountable amount of rape and sexual assault claims, only for the case to be closed in 2023 due to France's statute of limitations, which could have been avoided if anyone in the French courts had taken her seriously at the time she reported them, because yes, she did report them. And if that wasn't enough, I have something even more infuriating. One of the names she dropped during that talk show was Jean-Luc Brunel. He was an Epstein associate who was found dead in his cell in 2022. He was jailed on suspicion of rape and trafficking of minors. Sorry, hold on. After Karen's 2001 interview, numerous publications would come out claiming that she was going through a psychotic episode. Her parents would publicly blame this outburst on drugs, and her sister Saskia would go on that same talk show just to discredit her sister, which may sound surprising, but remember, part of her desperate plea for someone to listen and do something included the abuse she endured in her childhood. So it's safe to say Saskia was also a victim. It's complicated, but it fueled the media and it fueled the tabloids to call her crazy, and she tried to take her own life in 2002. Thankfully, she survived, and she'd returned to that same talk show to confront the host, heard this desperate plea, pulled her from air, and then deleted the tape. So the video of her speaking her truth would be scrapped altogether. The reason that we know this exists is because of his testimonies in the tabloids, hers, and audience members. Everyone called her crazy until the Epstein case started coming out. I read someone here on TikTok, female influencer with a lot of followers, comment once on a video and say that human trafficking was like the new satanic panic. I remember it had a lot of likes, and I was so disturbed then, and I'm even more disturbed. That comment lives in my head when I read this story, because that interview could have saved 20 years of children. 20 years. Then to be put in a psych ward by the very man who first did it, who, by the way, was the ex-husband of Linda Evangelista. Feel free to go down that rabbit hole. This isn't satanic panic. This is real. And the idea of it being satanic panic, like this huge, silly conspiracy everyone's talking about, is actually so destructive. And I feel like the desensitization that we have towards the Epstein files is becoming more and more rampant, because when something is so devastating and so traumatizing and we're not getting a conclusion, our go-to is to turn it into humor, which I do get. I'm not villainizing anyone for that. But if we're gonna do that, we still have to keep this level of anger. It's still happening. And a lot of the victims, the people that once were victims, are now perpetrators. It's that deep. It is that serious. Karen is 55 years old now. She is still a person in this world. She exists. And her only mistake was not doing that interview on a live television show.
I need everybody to give this woman her flowers because she was the first whistleblower of the Epstein files. She was brave enough at the peak of her career to come forward with all of it, and they made sure that she suffered for it. She's been forgotten because they buried her. They silenced her and put her in an institution to frighten her and silence her enough to never speak about it again. She couldn't leave until she said, "I made everything up." Everybody was in on it. She exposed her entire system. I mean, she basically said that she was sold and drugged and raped. This was in October 2001. At the peak of her career, she exposes all the monsters in the industry. Karen was invited to this French live talk show called Everyone's Talking About It. And she was there to actually promote her music. Not only is she suddenly beautiful, she's also incredibly talented. A very talented artist. All the lights are on her, it's live, all the cameras are on, and Karen exposes everybody. She exposes everybody who was involved in trafficking. All of them associated with Epstein. All the grapes lead to her as well, specifically the trafficking that went to the highest levels of the French society. And she really exposed a system. Interview right there and then is unplugged after she states all the names and she wants to continue to expose them. She names all the executives of elite model management, anybody who was involved with elite model management, Prince Albert of Monaco, ex-model management, politicians, police officers, Jean-Luc. They pull the interview, they destroy all the footage. Not a day goes by, maybe 2 days, and Karen was kidnapped from her home, shoved in a car, and driven to this clinic. Who pays for her treatment? Gerald Marie, president of Elite Paris. Of course, they tell the public that Karen suffered from an episode of psychosis. How convenient. This girl is just like spitting facts, like totally, like dates, times. And they're like, you're crazy. Of course, it's always a woman. It's always a woman. So Karen was actually at the peak of her career when she exposed everybody in the industry. She's one of the most wanted supermodels in the world. And set her up so the whole world thought she was crazy. Every single person in the industry turned against her. They tortured this woman so much that she actually tried to unalive herself. And they ruined her life, so she couldn't speak up. I need everybody to give this woman her flowers. She's a literal goddess. This woman was kidnapped, raped, drugged, held against her will, tortured, defamed, deprived of her liberty, falsely accused of horrible things, called crazy. I mean, all for exposing the truth. Her whole family turned against her. All the models that were like her best friends, nobody was seen in public with her, especially this one. I wonder why. Everybody just turned their back on her. But this is a tale as old as time, right? Women that come forward, they're labeled as crazy, high maintenance, women who exposes systems of oppression, of abuse, of injustice, they're labeled as crazy, hard to work with. Because what she exposed essentially make the whole industry crumble, they had to lock her up and destroy her life. I've seen files of these monsters. They tortured her so much that she would later appear on the show and admit that she suffered from mental instability. So, yeah. Of course, every single thing that she said was proven to be true. Every single truth came out. The whole world was against her. I mean, they painted her out to be the villain, this crazy, unstable woman who had a psychotic break. I mean, all throughout history and still to this day, any woman that calls out systematic abuse, powerful men that are monsters, any woman that questions authority and corruption of power, they get silenced, literally.
I try and do my best, and if it works, I'm very happy. If it doesn't, nothing I can do about it.
This was a famous Spanish model who was invited to an Illuminati party. She ran out from everything she had seen. Listen.
On August 4th, 2009, a distressed Mexican model, Gabriela Rico Jimenez, was filmed outside the Fiesta Inn luxury hotel in Monterrey, Mexico, appearing to have a mental breakdown. During her outburst, she made a series of alarming accusations about powerful individuals and politicians in Mexico, including Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim, claiming they were involved in cannibalism and satanic rituals. In her rant, she claimed she knew about the assassinations, which suggests she was somewhat initiated into what was happening, but she insisted she had no idea about the cannibalism. She screamed that they're eating humans, describing that humans smell like meat, and even alleged that they wanted to make a copy of her insinuating cloning. Listen here. In the middle of her rant, she was taken away by police officers and she was never seen again. After the clip aired on TV, it went viral and people began researching Gabriella. They discovered she was a well-known model who had appeared on a magazine cover earlier that year, in early 2009. What was initially brushed off as a mentally unstable woman having a breakdown soon evolved into a theory that she had witnessed horrific acts, spoke out, and was silenced by powerful elites in Mexico. Within the entertainment world, there are levels of initiation that individuals are gradually exposed to. As Gabriella mentioned, she was already aware of the murders, which indicates she had been partially initiated into darker realities behind the scenes. But when she reached a deeper tier, one they assumed she would accept, she drew a hard line. What she encountered was so grotesque and spiritually corrupt that, upon noticing the cameras, she seized the moment to speak out. Tragically, many celebrities remain silent, choosing to tolerate that level of depravity in exchange for status, protection, or career advancement. But Gabriella didn't. In many ways, she sacrificed herself for anyone willing to hear the truth in her terrified plea. Her disappearance serves as a chilling reminder of what happens to those who refuse to comply. And the most disturbing part, how effortlessly she was erased, how easily a human being can be disposed of when powerful people want them gone. The system of this world is not neutral. The true religion of this world, across every nation, every ethnicity, every social group, is occultism. It is the underlying spiritual framework that shapes society at large. Most people do not enter occultism because they eagerly sought evil. Many arrive there through conformity. Human nature tends toward imitation. People follow the crowd, embrace the trends, especially trends set by celebrities. This world rewards compromise. It grants access in exchange for spiritual surrender. Evil is the norm. Participation in darkness is presented as the standard route to success. None of it is new. It is the same ancient rebellion recycled across generations. In contrast, choosing Christ is the most countercultural act a person can make. It is groundbreaking precisely because it goes against the grain of a world, moving in the opposite spiritual direction. And this is where the confusion around Christianity arises. Many who call themselves Christians are not followers of Christ at all. They are practitioners of the world's religion, operating under a Christian label because they know their true allegiance would be socially condemned. So when a person genuinely chooses to follow Jesus Christ, they are doing something radical. They are stepping outside the current of a world that demands conformity to darkness. As I said earlier, there are levels of initiation that people are gradually exposed to. Most of your favorite celebrities are far gone. There's no turning back for them. They have to pay for their fame and fortune, and that payment isn't free. They pay with souls. This may sound wild, but many major celebrities, especially music artists, sign contracts that literally outline how many souls they must deliver. 250,000 a week is the minimum quota. That's why they have to constantly tour, work, and push out more content. They're not just hungry for attention, they're out for souls. They cannot retire, they're bound. I've openly said many times that I don't like Beyoncé, and people immediately called me a hater. But to be a hater, you'd have to be jealous of the person, right? Beyoncé is only a few years younger than my mom. Jay-Z is older than both of my parents. Why would I be jealous of a geriatric aunt who has to keep shaking her behind on stage with no breaks? That's my idea of hell. What's the point of having money if you can't even enjoy it? I just don't like her or what she represents. Same with Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga. I don't like celebrities in general. Nothing about them impresses me. Honestly, they do the opposite. They have fewer morals than regular people. Prostituting your soul for fame and fortune is not impressive. Corrupting young souls is even less impressive. In fact, it's one of the things that annoys me most about celebrities. Remember this. These celebrities don't like you. They actually hate you. They are openly walking you into damnation because they themselves sold their souls, and they don't care about your soul at all. Trust me.
The truth is about all these female rappers nowadays, they've subconsciously turned a lot of y'all into prostitutes. A lot of y'all really don't want to talk about that though, but let's talk about it. So what is the role of a prostitute? A prostitute's role is to exchange sex for favors or for monetary gain. And a lot of girls say nowadays how they date multiple guys and have multiple boyfriends for different things. Like one guy you just use for sex, the other guy takes you on dates and buys you things. And you keep your emotions completely out of the equation. You don't want no connection with these individuals. You just want what they're giving you. Now don't get me wrong, I know a lot of y'all have been done dirty by guys. I know that. That's a fact of reality. But not all guys are meant to just be seen in the same way. Not all guys just want to use you for your body. And not all guys should just be used for monetary gain. But what these female rappers have done to a lot of y'all is subconsciously placed a message in your mind that's playing on a loop of fuck dudes and get money. That literally just sounds like the motto of a prostitute. We both are human. We both want connection. It's just a lot of the music nowadays has twisted our perception of each other. And especially in the female rap community, it's very much altered the female mind a lot, very tremendously. I'm just saying, y'all need to start really paying attention to who you're listening to. They may have a bunch of trauma in their life that's coming out through their music. And it has nothing to do with you, but you're letting their trauma and their music control you in your life. Come on, ladies. Y'all need to get it together.
I date for money now. Your man, he spends money. He spends money.
Women are spiritually wounded. Many are taught, explicitly or implicitly, that love must be earned through sacrifice, endurance, and suffering. So, they overextend. Endless grace, forgiveness after betrayal, emotional labor, motherhood without marriage. They give wife-level access without wife-level covering. Biblically, that is a violation of divine order. Covenant is meant to precede access, not follow it. When women give without covering, something breaks internally. The heart hardens because the soul is trying to protect itself. This is how the love girl becomes the city girl. What began as a desire for union turns into a strategy for survival. This is where deception enters. Reframing transactional access as dating for money is not empowerment. It is an attempt to soothe a conscience that knows intimacy is being exchanged outside of God's design. The Bible warns against calling evil good and good evil, not as a condemnation, but as a spiritual danger. When truth is blurred, bondage increases. What's important to understand is this: money cannot replace covenant. A woman can be compensated financially and still be spiritually impoverished. Provision without protection, access without commitment, attention without covering, none of these heal the soul. That's why, in Summer Walker's case, money is not enough. If it were, attraction wouldn't matter. Attachment wouldn't matter. But it does because the heart was created for union, not transactions. Her longing for taken men reveals the deeper wound, the desire to be chosen, claimed, and prioritized. Even being a side piece offers the illusion of intimacy, but spiritually, it places her in a position of scarcity rather than inheritance. Biblically, this is the consequence of operating outside covenant. Competition instead of peace, comparison instead of security, anxiety instead of rest. Scripture tells us that God is not withholding love or provision. He is withholding counterfeits. What looks like freedom in the world often leads to deeper entanglement. Sexual access without covenant and provision without commitment always come at a spiritual cost. The gospel offers a different way. God restores order by healing identity first. A woman who knows she is chosen by God no longer needs to audition for male approval. She no longer needs to trade intimacy for resources or attachment for attention. She can wait, not from lack, but from authority. Because in the kingdom of God, you do not chase provision, you inherit it.
The reason why so many of these top-tier men use prostitutes is because it becomes prohibitively expensive to date traditionally once you cross a certain point. Let's examine why this might be the case. One of my good friends is a corporate lawyer, and he bills his time at $1,300 an hour. Now, that may sound like a lot, but it's kind of the going rate for a partner at a top-tier law firm. By the same token, there are folks in my space online who charge $2,000 to $3,000 an hour for a consultation. And then you get into the rarefied realm of bank presidents, celebrities, tycoons, and professional athletes who can easily command tens of thousands of dollars or more for an hour of their time. However, to make this talk more accessible, let's just use the lawyer's rate as the standard of measurement. So let's assume a man is making $1,300 an hour, like my friend. In the traditional dating pipeline, what would be expected of him? Well, first, he'd have to spend some time making something happen. Maybe he has to go out to a bar on a Saturday night and rizz up a girl. And this is hardly a sure thing, even at the local meat market, so he'll have to have the energy and the emotional resilience to deal with the rejection that inevitably stands between him and an actual prospect. Or he'll have to spend time creating a dating profile on an app that won't land him in the invisible 90% functionally ignored by all women, and swiping on hundreds of accounts in order to get some matches. Either way, once he succeeds in getting a number, he'll need to spend more time playing the text game in order to help the woman feel sufficiently safe and sufficiently attracted, which is not an easy balance to strike, to meet up for an actual date. Of course, he'll be expected to plan the date, which will almost certainly occur at some neutral location, as opposed to his house, several days or even weeks out. On the date, he'll be expected to cover all the expenses, but as we'll see, this is the most inexpensive part of dating for him. The meeting itself will probably last 2, maybe 3 hours, with potentially an hour of commuting to and from the location. So he likely has to block off an entire evening, and busy, successful men may only get 1 evening off a week, if that. And given all this time and effort and expense, there is, of course, absolutely no guarantee that the man will even be attracted to the woman in question, let alone succeed in securing a sexual encounter. And irrespective of the moral or ethics involved, this is frustrating because since men attempt to exchange resources for sexual opportunity in the sexual marketplace, this is why he's there. So even if we ignore all the monetary expenses associated with the date itself, which are potentially not insignificant, a 3-hour date bookended by an hour of travel at $1,300 an hour is $5,200. This means this guy is paying $5,000 in terms of the cost to his time to go on a date with you. And this does not include any of the time and effort that went into securing the date. This may come as a shock, but most women do not just show up into a man's life with an intention to make his life easier. For most men, it's a lot of fucking work to get sex and relationships from women. You hear a lot about the emotional labor that women perform for men. But it's absolutely true that men perform a great deal of emotional labor for women. It's just that the man's labor typically has to do with getting laid and securing and maintaining the relationship. To do this, men often have to be charming or funny or cool. They have to stimulate your emotions and arouse your attraction. They have to listen to you talk about your day and care about the woman inside your body. And they have to do all this without giving the slightest impression that this is in any way work for them, or that they could possibly want to do literally anything else with their time and attention. Because if you get the impression that they're just doing this because it works and not because they authentically want to do it, you won't. This is not easy to do. Even the most successful Casanovas strike out more often than they get on base. Women are extremely complex, and most men do not even begin to approach an understanding of how you operate. In any case, dating you requires a lot of time, energy, money, and emotional resilience. And if you're working 80 hours a week, you just might not have the bandwidth for that. Dating just feels like another job, but a job that you pay to work. I understand that women have their own frustrations with the dating process, but that's not why we're here today. We're looking at dating from the perspective of successful men in these episodes. We'll get back to you later.
But those were good in Vegas, and a lot of the guys wanted to have the whole experience because they've been married, they haven't dated, you know, they want to just feel it like it's a real date.
These girls are literally getting paid $3,000. I can handle
No, seriously, whatever they're staying, like at the Venetian or whatever, they go to a nice restaurant, because the guys are, you know, I'm dealing with upscale guys. They're not going to freaking Burger King or In-N-Out. Come on. Oh, and they would meet for dinner, meet at valet, they go in. So this way nobody bothers them, security and stuff. There's protocol in casinos that are different than anywhere else. But so they'll meet at valet, go in, go to dinner, go see a show. Some of them wanted to see a show as well. And then maybe gamble if they gambled. And then they go up to the room, like private, we called it private time, for like 2 hours or 3 hours at the end of the night.
This is how so-called high-value men often operate, and yet the majority of women are chasing them. To them, basic communication like texting, calling, or checking in is considered emotional labor. Showing consistency or care is framed as a burden rather than a bare minimum. From a biblical perspective, this entire dynamic is not about dating strategy, money, or even patriarchy alone. It is about disordered desire and spiritual deception. Scripture is clear that sexual access without covenant is not neutral. When men consume women sexually while despising them morally, that is not masculine authority, it is hypocrisy. Because what do you mean asking about a woman's day as emotional labor, but sleeping with her isn't? Physical access and financial gestures are easy, but basic care, consistency, and presence are suddenly framed as too much effort. That tells you exactly what they value and what they don't. Men who participate in sexual immorality while shaming women for it are operating in double-mindedness. The Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. That instability spills into dating, marriage, and society at large.
Have you guys seen this video right here of her explaining how she met her boyfriend or fiance or whatever he is? Look what I searched to find this video. Now, normally I would call out her BS, but I'm going to take a step back, right? I'm all about self-accountability, right? Some of you say you want a man to be a man, right? What type of man buys a woman? What type of man leads with his wallet? Some of you are so mesmerized by making sure your lifestyle is taken care of, you don't even really look at the type of man that's taking care of your lifestyle. You guys scream how much integrity is important to you, how important it is for a man to have morals, how important a man is to be one with the Lord, but yet you would have no problem with the man disrespecting himself to pay for you to be in his presence. Because what does that say about that man? Because to me, it sounds desperate. To me, it sounds like he can't get women without opening up his wallet. So before you come on the internet and give this story about how this man just spent a whole bunch of money on you, I want you to take a step back and I want you to look at the situation from the outside in.
And then he sent me $10,000. Wow, like he's literally sending me $10,000 so I would reply to his messages. He bought me a Rolex, which was 2 weeks after we met, literally spending all of his money on me. And the same with my ex. Like, my ex spent almost all of his money on me, so much that he got into debt. No one had ever bought me anything designer or anything. All of a sudden I have like a 15K watch, which is for me like, oh my god, like, oh, that's such a big gesture.
You guys all like demonize me. Oh my god, she accepted 10K, she folded for 10K. You guys fold for a good morning text. You guys get turned on because a guy sends you good morning. That doesn't turn me on. Looking at a guy just thinking, oh, he's pretty, I've never thought that in my life. Men, because I'm looking at them, oh wow, he's so beautiful, oh my god, I want him now. No. I think, what can a man do for me? Okay.
Women really do think that wealthy men are stupid. Women really seem to be blinded by the fact that if a man is willing to buy you a bag or fly you out somewhere or get you shoes, you're not actually aware that this man already knows that you're a woman that can be priced out. And I don't know if women know that men don't have much respect for what they can price out, especially when they have money to price you out. If it takes flights and some bags and whatever, this man knows exactly where to cubbyhole you in his mind. Because maybe at home, there wasn't the foundational teaching of the values that let you know that if money can buy it, it doesn't have much value. Things that money can buy don't have much value. Do you know why? Because they have a dollar amount set on them. And the minute something has a dollar amount set on it, it automatically means that out there, 1 or 10 or several thousand or several million people have the means to attain it, which means that it doesn't have value at all. If there's a price tag set on it, in a sense, though the price tag is high, it's still worthless because it's the thing that can't be bought that's really valuable.
Escorts have two types. The first type is the one we know about the most, which is essentially you pay for the girl, you sleep with her for the night, that's it, you guys go your separate ways. The second type of escort is a long-term escort, which doesn't get talked about enough. And this is women who give up their self-respect, they give up everything they stand for, and they just become slaves to men for money. Everything these women do is money-driven. They have no values of themselves. And they're so, like, kinky. It's like, hey, like, give me money. Hey, I'm gonna do this, give me money. Take me shopping. Where it's like, take me shopping, I'll do whatever you want. Well, you get whatever you want, where essentially they're just, like, referring to sex, right? So they're just offering themselves as, like, sex slaves in return for you taking them out shopping, taking them out to dinners. Obviously, you should take your girl out shopping and dinners, but when it comes to this type of context, where your girl has to give you sex for you to do such things, and she's offering herself as like a sex trophy, then it's kind of like she's being an escort, essentially, but it's just indirectly.
The dating pool in Atlanta is for sale. Trust me. These women out here selling cats. I said it again. These women out here selling cat. They're not looking for love. They're just looking for finances. What bill would you pay for them? That's all that matters right now. And me being around athletes, entertainers, niggas with money, bro, I see what these women are willing to do for the money. So if you're out here in Atlanta and you're looking for love, don't worry about it. Move to Wyoming or something.
Pay me to even leave my house, okay? I'm not leaving my house without a cash app, a Zelle, or Venmo. I accept all forms, okay? Before I even waste my $60 foundation, cash app. Before I even put on my outfits, my dress, my heels, Zelle. Before I even turn my doorknob to walk out of the door, Venmo. And for y'all allowance this week, did y'all text every nigga in y'all phone for y'all allowance? The one
Exactly. You see, the girls that get it, okay? Apple Pay, Zelle. See, when a man pays you to be there, the men that want you to be happy, the men that want you to rob their bald head, the short kings out there, that's the cheat code. I think men don't understand that. The cheat code is pay her to be there. If you want her to be happy, if you want her to be nice to you, pay her to be there. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I had such a bad date. Maybe if you offered her some money, right? Maybe if you actually spend some money instead of saying, I ain't a simp, you'd have a better dating life. You'd be happier. You'd wake up happier every day. Make simps great again, I swear.
You guys all like demonize me. Oh my god, she accepted 10K. She folded for 10K. You guys fall for a good morning text. You guys get turned on because a guy sends you good morning. That doesn't turn me on.
People like Shara7, Wizard Liz, and others are all promoting the same underlying ideology. It's being marketed as feminine strategy or high-value dating advice, but at its core, it relies on manipulation, control, and psychological tactics rather than genuine connection or integrity. Let's be honest, most modern dating advice isn't neutral, it's spiritual. Cher's teachings function as witchcraft because they train people in manipulation. And manipulation is one of the oldest forms of witchcraft, exerting control, influencing behavior, and engineering outcomes outside of God's order. That places it squarely within spiritual warfare, whether people acknowledge it or not. Let's be clear. Rebranding does not change the nature of a thing. Magic does not stop being magic because it's renamed. Witchcraft does not cease to be witchcraft because it's aestheticized or psychologized. This is why there is a fundamental contradiction when someone claims to be God-fearing while promoting teachings that revolve around control, power, status, and material gain. Scripture warns explicitly against storing up treasures on earth because they hold no eternal value. What is being sold here is not wisdom, it's attachment to the temporal. This conversation is ultimately about discernment, understanding what you are speaking over your life, what you are consuming, and what you are aligning yourself with spiritually. Repeated hurt and relational disappointment do not justify abandoning your integrity or reshaping yourself into someone cold, deceptive, or performative. That is not healing, that is fragmentation. What's often missing is accountability, especially in how much access you're giving to people who have not earned it. When wealth, status, control, and image take precedence over truth and obedience, you're not just making lifestyle choices, you're entering spiritual territory. That's how the enemy gains access, through unchecked desire, misplaced worship, and attachment to worldly outcomes. Most people don't recognize this as spiritual warfare, but it is. You're not just leveling up, you're not just being strategic, you're entering demonic agreements that trade identity, peace, and purpose for temporary gain and external validation. At its extreme, this mindset mirrors sociopathic patterns, emotional detachment, strategic personas, control through withholding, and manipulation justified as self-protection. What makes this dangerous is that it's no longer fringe. It's being taught, it's being monetized, it's being celebrated. And then people wonder why, despite having everything they thought they wanted, they feel more disconnected, anxious, and empty than ever. That isn't coincidence. That's spiritual consequence.
As a porn star, I was also doing a lot of escorting. I came to New York once and made $150,000 in about 3 or 4 days. Here, let me paint the picture so people understand. You gotta knock at the door. Come in, take the money, this, that, do the thing. And in New York, people are very fast paced, so they don't want to spend the whole hour with you. They pay you your $2,500 for the hour and then they get out. But then you have another knock and you're like, dude, I just got out of the shower, give me a minute, you know, like, let me catch my breath, because the agency just keeps sending people back to back to back. You finish that one, you're trying to take another shit. You think of like, okay, I made $150,000, but like, what did you just have to do for that? Like, how many guys, like, I gained 150 grand, but my soul was dead. My soul, I was depleted. I was dying inside. And so for a woman to say like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go and take my clothes off, I'm gonna hop on OnlyFans, I think they really need to dig deeper. Why do you feel comfortable taking your clothes off for money? I mean, you can take the easy route, but I'm a firm believer in what good is it to gain the whole world if you lose your soul? Like, really, truly, the weight of that, the weight of objectifying yourself, the weight of knowing that anybody can buy you and see you in your most intimate moments, eventually it does take a toll. You are making permanent decisions in a temporary place. The temporary place is, I need money. The temporary place is, I want to feel affirmed. The temporary place is, you know, I want to take my mom out and go on vacation. Those are temporary things, yet you're making permanent decisions. The permanent decision is that you are putting your images all over the internet for people to see for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter what adult content platform you're on, all of your images are eventually going to get leaked. People are paying for your content. They're gonna put it on Reddit. Twitter is now legally allowing pornography. So it's gonna get leaked. To me, that's not worth it. I hate the fact that I still have my images online. I hate it. I wish that I could get all of those removed. Hear my heart from somebody that was in that industry for 7 years. You're going to evolve. You're going to change. If you really think about your life. There's a time when you were 5 years old. I liked Barney. I don't like Barney anymore. I used to like the Spice Girls as a 6th grader. I don't like the Spice Girls anymore. It's like you grow, you evolve, your desires change, your likes change, your wants change. And so all of these things that women are chasing on OnlyFans are just temporary. And they're doing permanent things to get temporary things.
Would I recommend anyone becoming an escort? Kind of a loaded question. Would I recommend that people consciously make the decision to view their body as a commodity and sell it for the sexual gratification of others, while spending copious amounts of time marketing themselves on red websites, or getting in touch and linking up with someone who gladly distributes women? And then there's the actual act of doing it, so entering into a one-to-one scenario with somebody or going to some kind of like swingers events and actually letting people use your sacred body for their own sexual gratification. So to recommend this lifestyle would make me a dangerous person. And obviously, no, I would not recommend that. We're then obviously not considering the 10, 20 years that follow that decision where you have to actually deal with the aftermath. No, I wouldn't recommend.
The way she looks away, lost in deep thought, you can tell there's still a lot of unresolved trauma there. Actually, none of the women we discussed today are happy with the outcome. Unfortunately, they only realized how far they had gone when it was too late. Use their experiences as an example. You don't have to go through the same mistakes to learn.
I just didn't know him well. I had this mindset of, being in love, and it was kind of tinged with a little bit of Stockholm syndrome. And I thought I was connecting with somebody when really I was just somebody who had trouble connecting with people my whole life. And I'd met somebody who was like a master manipulator, you know what I mean? So I look back and I just see somebody who was young and impressionable and just kind of in a fog almost.
I hate how I allowed myself to just be like used up by men. And that came from a lack of self-worth. I did not understand my value that I was born with. I didn't. People look at sex differently, but sex is spiritual unification. At the end of the day, I don't care how you spin it. It's spiritual.
For women.
Okay, for women. Whatever,
yeah.
Okay, fine, for women. It's spiritual unification. And people that I shared my body with, when I think about my list, it's repulsive because they didn't deserve it. But that was an outcome of me discounting my worth. And it's disgusting. I hate even having that spiritual tie in any type of way. But yeah, I would absolutely change sexually how I move around.
We are living in a time where women are more lost than ever. Independence is promoted as promiscuity, sexual exploitation is marketed as empowerment, femininity is traded for attention, morality is dismissed as outdated, and beauty is no longer sacred. It's sold to the highest bidder. The worst part is that these women think they're empowered, but in reality, they're being exploited by men and corporations, and the only winners are those benefiting from them. Hefner, Epstein, and others allegedly exploited women to gather dirt on the most powerful men in the world. Isn't it ironic that they needed women to bring these men down? It's almost like women really do rule the world. The tragedy is deeper than corrupt celebrities. These trends have warped societal values. Today, women are more objectified than ever, but it is disguised as empowerment. Women celebrate financial independence, yet the money still comes from men who objectify them. They claim liberation, but many are further enslaved to validation, exploitation, and moral decay. What bothers me the most is that the loudest feminist voices talk about being independent and using men. But isn't that exactly what the patriarchy wants? To exploit women? That's backward thinking. This wasn't accidental. Many believe it was manufactured, a deliberate agenda pushed by the same powerful men who control everything and benefit from keeping women sexualized, distracted, and spiritually disconnected. Each generation pushed the boundary further until complete degradation became normalized, even celebrated. Social engineering at its finest. This is why now, more than ever, we need God. We need grounding, discernment, and protection from the agendas shaping our culture. Only by returning to moral clarity can we recognize what's being done and break free from the cycle.
oh, so everyone that doesn't believe in Jesus is just going to hell. Like there's no point. It's like when you choose, like you're not understanding that hell is the default location. Like we're not being sent there. Like we're already on our way there. We're already on our way to hell. We have made a reservation. And if you continue to choose a life, if you choose anything outside of God, if you continue to walk in that competitor lifestyle instead of the companion, which you have the option to, if you choose a life outside of God, your eternity is outside of God. Like that is your free will. That is your choice. And ultimately, a loving God is not going to force you to spend eternity with him. He wants you there. That's why he gave you the option. So it's like, well, it's just this super polarizing thing where it's like, oh, well, if I don't believe in Jesus, I guess I'm going to hell. It's like, well, if you don't want anything to do with God, who God really is, by the way, then you're not going to have anything to do with him. Like, it's just really simple. People are like, well, I do love God. I just don't subscribe to the Christian God. Well, then you don't subscribe to God because that is who God is, not because I say so. That's not my opinion. That is the objective reality that, again, God gets to determine because he's God. Well, what about all these other people's idea of God? Idols. False. 2 Corinthians 11:14, even Satan masquerades as an angel of light. Again, that's not mean. That's not polarizing. That is just true. And the fact is, yeah, Jesus said there's two roads. There's the broad road of destruction, which is narrow and wide. And then there's which is wide. And then there's the narrow road, which not many will find. But the option's there for everybody, right? The Bible says it's not God's will that any man should perish. Like, he doesn't want you to go to hell. He didn't create you for hell. He created hell for the devil and for the demons. But when we made the choice to choose, back in the garden, something outside of God, outside of his companionship, outside of his image and likeness, when we actually submitted to the enemy's temptation, then that was our default location too, because God is holy and good and just and all the things that we already talked about. Like, he can't have anything to do with it. But he's giving you the option to have everything to do with him through the sacrifice of his son, Jesus Christ, believing on Jesus Christ. It's really simple. Like, it's really simple not to go to hell. It really is. And if you don't like the idea of hell, like, I get it. But the thing is, like, not liking the idea of something or not believing in something doesn't make it not a thing.